to me then, I bet they feel me now. Don't let me lose it. The booth not about to prove it. I set goals and pursue it. You the best to never do it. Invest my money, talking fluent, stupid, ducking the Judas. It broke my heart, but open my eyes. You have no honor, I have no choice. Chasing the commas till I'm gone. I've been left for a minute. On my way home, mama, I promise, got caught up in it. Damn, everybody eats when I'm batting at the plate. First, second, third, home, $1 million babe.
What's up, people? We back.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
That Hotep Jesus dude.
What's up, y'all? YouTube was giving me some problems. He asked me to verify my account, etc., etc. So I didn't get a chance to send my usual tweet out. So I'm going to take some time to do that right now. So please forgive me. And I'll be right back.
Yo, it's arrived.
We here, baby. What's up, man? Hotep Con 2022. Second annual. It's up.
Who's going to court? Hotep. Where's she at? Did you tell her to come to passenger pickup?
It's lit. Cam, it's Hotep Jesus. We'll be back.
Yeah, we were just talking about that today. Got the balloons.
No, we flew Spirit Airlines. Who flies Spirit Airlines on purpose? Who does that? You never catch me.
I've seen it. I don't like that.
Yo, I ain't never flying right there again. Jump seats. Every seat was a jump
Did I tell you about that?
Every seat was a jump seat. It hurt.
Frontiers like
Wow.
it's just a glorified spirit.
Didn't I just tell y'all they be having them jump seats, yo? That's what they call jump seats.
My apologies. We are back.
Hotep Jesus. I love that guy. He's terrific.
Happy Friday. How y'all feeling? It's a grifty Friday. A very, very grifty Friday. Shout out to Renee Vogel. He got me the new Griff Report lower third that you see there. It'll be, I'll clean up the logos a little bit more in the near future. But as we begin to brand this show, you see things coming together little by little. Of course, shout out to the Syscoin team. Y'all got Syscoin in y'all wallet? You got Syscoin in your wallet? Make sure y'all go over to Binance, get you some Syscoin, start participating in that ecosystem. One of the best projects out there. They got the new Roblox. Taking over the gaming community. As far as crypto is concerned, I mean, I don't understand how gamers aren't earning cash, directly through their PlayStation or whatever platform that they're on. But that's the future. The future is getting paid to game. If you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you put money in, you should be getting money out. So tokenizing things is going to be the way of the future. Shout out to the Syscoin team. We got a mixed bag of grift again today, y'all. We got a mixed bag of grift. A very mixed bag of grift. Shout out to my Rumblers. We're Hotep TV on Rumble. If you're on Rumble, join us there at Hotep TV. Shout out to Eric Santos, DMW Shot. I see you guys. The Haram Life. I see you guys in the chat. My members, if you're not a member, become a member. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss an episode of the Griff Report. Daily, we're here at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Daily, Monday through Friday. Let's get into the Griff Report. Let's see what we got in the bag today. What we got in the bag today. What are we going to cover? So we got to talk about Elon and his new hire. We got to talk about black slave owners. Some interesting information as far as that's concerned. What else is in here? CBDC news. Some border stuff. Chrissie Mayr made the news. We're going to talk about that. Some Matt Walsh is in this bag. Let's go here first. Let's pull this up on your screen. Got a little bit of Creepy Joe. I don't know if you guys saw this clip, but check this out.
As the president departs.
All the kids under the age of 15, come on up here.
All the kids under age 15. You see, they start playing the music. They're like, oh man, here he go. Joe done went off script. Cue the music. Absolutely insane. This guy says all the children under 15 get up here. I don't know what this event is. Maybe we're reaching here. Maybe we're not. But this is definitely on brand for Creepy Joe. Wild, absolutely wild. I'll play the clip one more time for y'all.
As the president departs.
All the kids under the age of 15, come on up here.
Crazy. Insane. What the hell is going on with your president? That ain't my president. Not my president. Remember that? Not my president. Let's go back in the bag. Let's pull this up. We got a little bit of Matt Walsh here. I thought this was absolutely hilarious here. I'm going to play a little bit. It's not going to play the whole thing. We'll play a little bit of this. So a white Republican has come out recently as a trans woman of color. Shockingly, this brave pioneer has been rejected by the trans community. Says he had a chance to sit down with Ryan. Her story is both heartbreaking and inspirational. Any day now, Elon.
Being as that I had Cherokee on both sides, so I tried to look it up and I couldn't find any was the Native American. I classify myself as well. Boards for that. Or did identify as a
You came out as a trans woman of color, and yet you have changed nothing about yourself physically. So you're just literally the exact same person, but at the same time, you're a woman of color.
I did take the step of changing my name. I used to go by Ryan, which would be Ryan, the male version, but now I'm using the name Ryan, but it's the female version. So.
Same spelling.
Same spelling.
When you're out in front of an issue like this, there are always going to be people that doubt. What's your response to them?
Well, I would say I've heard that. And to that, I would say it was just a few short years ago that they said that you couldn't identify, a man couldn't identify as a woman without taking the steps necessary to do so. And that's no longer true. I mean, I'm living proof of it.
The gender identity is once...
He said he changed his name. His name's Ryan, the male version, so he changed it to the female version, Ryan. He hasn't changed his appearance at all. He identifies as a trans woman of color. This is absolute genius trolling here by Matt Walsh and this Republican politician. It exposes the hypocrisy of the left and their rhetoric about who can be trans, those rules, et cetera, et cetera. And if you say, you know, there is no definition, you know, as a woman you can identify and it has nothing to do with what they wear, then you have to accept this person as a trans woman. Now, also, he says trans woman of color. If somebody can change their gender, why can't they change their race? Why can't they identify as a different race? That's what I was wondering, because I would like to identify as trans white.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
I want some of that white privilege. How about that? How about them apples? Give me some of that white privilege. If we're going to play this game, I want in. I want in. I want in. Let's go back in the grift bag. Let's go back in the grift bag. We're starting off light. We're going to get heavy. We got a mixed bag of grift. I think I want to go to Chrissie Mayr now. Let's see what happened with Chrissie Mayr. You know, sometimes I don't watch these clips because I want to be surprised right along with you. So let's pull this up. Let's pull this clip up from Chrissie Mayr. You know, Chrissie Mayr. I've had her on my channel. I've been on her channel. Good friend of the brand. And she's a comedian, stand-up comedian, of course. So let's go into it.
365 days. What? Like, why has it been a year of girlhood and still no tits? That's day one, okay? If I'm transitioning to a dude, day one I'm getting a cock. And I'm getting the biggest one you can find. Like, go into the back room, get me something black, okay? I have something to prove here.
Oh no. Oh Lord. Somebody's gonna be like, oh, that's racist. She's fetishizing black men.
Why no tits for Dylan? I don't understand. Because he's a man. Because he's a man. Yeah, he can go tomorrow. He's a woman. Uh-oh. We have one of those. Tomorrow. He's a woman. For Dylan, I don't understand. Because he's a man. Because he's a man. Yeah, he can go tomorrow. He's a woman. Uh-oh.
I think she said, no, he's a woman at first and then corrected herself. Let me listen back.
Yeah, he can go tomorrow. He's a woman. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it sounded like she said, it sounded like this person who's defending Dylan said, no, he's a woman, and then later on says, no, she's a woman.
Uh-oh. We have one of those. I figured. No, it's all good. We can all have different beliefs. It's okay. Some of us can believe in reality, and some of us can't.
Oh. Savage. Savage, Chrissie, savage.
This is America. We should have different beliefs. It's all good. It's all good. Binary, we didn't have bisexual. We didn't have as many labels. It was just like, oh, you're not bisexual. You're just fun at parties. She's just a good time. Yeah, just like the real Princeton, I've let in some people I shouldn't have. I've let in some people because they were real athletic. You know what I mean? I saw potential. I let in some people just because they were Puerto Rican. They can't all be white, right? You have to see yourself represented in the pamphlet, sir. You can't, right? Because you see yourself coming here. Fuck the transphobe! Is that the best you can do? Make sure she gets home safe. I don't want those women to get harpooned in the neck on their way to their cars. I'm worried about their safety. There's
Chrissie letting the fat jokes fly?
home safe. I don't want those women to get harpooned in the neck on their way to their cars. I'm worried about their safety. There's poachers out there. They're gonna want their tusks.
Oh no.
They were fat though, and that did help. colored hair.
Oh man, wicked. Oh my God, absolutely savage. Get those likes up. Get those likes up on Rumble and YouTube, please. Jig the algo. Let's reach back in the grift bag. If you guys aren't aware, Chrissie Mayr actually hosted or presented an award at last year's Grifties. So make sure you check out Grifties at grifties.com. And she was kind enough to join our program, and she presented an award. So like I said, she's good friends of the brand here. Let's go back in the grift bag. Like I said, we got a mixed bag of grift in here today. Let's go here. Let's just get this out the way. And we'll open up phone lines, of course. So, as you can see here, this is the guy who choked out Jordan Neely, which resulted in his death. And as you can see from the caption here, it says, in custody 11 days after the death of Jordan Neely, former Marine Daniel Penny is in police custody. He's charged with second-degree manslaughter, max time behind bars if convicted, 15 years. So, you know, we talked about this last night on the show. You know, my takeaway is these types of things extend the grift. So the grift will be carried out throughout the trial. Everybody will be paying attention to the trial. They'll be paying attention to the arguments. Then there'll be dissections of the arguments. Then there'll be people yelling across the political aisle. You know, I'm sure, you know, conservatives will weigh in, and then the left will respond in kind and, you know, call people racist, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm very interested to see the evidence that's presented in the case, specifically, you know, more video footage, so I can have an idea of what happened if I'm going to comment on it. But I don't know what to think of this, you know, based upon the footage that was released. You know, it's like 2-part footage. The first day, like we told you, you know, it was going to be some confusion. So the first day we get, you know, the actual incident of the choking. And then the next day we see him, or it was the next day, but it didn't really blow up until Monday, I want to say, because they had to get their protests off on the weekend. But we saw him trying, you know, to give Jordan Neely some aid. I don't know if we saw him giving him CPR or anything like that, but they definitely went through protocol, some sort of protocol, turning him over on his side, et cetera, which definitely, you know, doesn't look like intentional murder. And I said it before, I said manslaughter would probably be more likely the charge in this case, and so we get second-degree manslaughter. So then, you know, how the grift plays out is you'll get the grift throughout the trial, and then you'll get the verdict. And the verdict could go either way. So if he turns out to be guilty, then the right will be upset, and the left will say, okay, justice has been served. And then it'll come down to, well, what is the sentencing? And then that'll, you know, that'll be like part 3 of the grift, or act 3 of the grift. But in act 2, if he's found not guilty, well, then the left will have a lot more grift to go. You know, they'll have to, they will, I won't say they have to, but they'll start marching, and they'll say, hey, you know, justice hasn't been served, corrupt system, blah, 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 blah. You know, right in line for grifting season, AKA election season. So, you know, obviously we'll be covering this on the channel, and we'll keep you up to date on that in the future. Let's go back in the grift bag. Let's see here. Is this recent? This looks recent. Let me pull this up. It says here, this morning, a group of about 30 migrants, men, women, and children, arrived outside the vice president's residence here in Washington, D.C. on a bus from Texas. Many on the bus told me they were from Venezuela. So as you can see here, Texas has dropped off migrants on Kamala Harris's doorstep. You know, I can't say I blame Texas for this because, well, you know, managing, you know, this crisis has been a handful. Managing this group of people in particular, these busloads of people in particular, is going to draw resources from the state of Texas. It's going to draw financial resources, human resources, time resources, et cetera, and it's quite a burden, especially when Texas didn't sign up for it. And, you know, Texas is the main one that's dealing with that border. It's right there connected to Mexico. Obviously, Texas used to be, you know, a part of that. Used to be Mexico. Used to extend all the way up into New Mexico, Texas, et cetera. So, you know, they're having to bear the burden of the Democrats' decisions, the White House's decisions to let these people in and pretty much invite these people in based upon their rhetoric. And then Title 42, you know, that whole situation, and Biden saying, well, now we're going to clamp down at the border. And, you know, that was Trump's talking point, et cetera. So I can't say I blame Texas for doing this. And, you know, I don't think the Democrats should complain. I don't think Kamala should complain. She should open up the doors to her home and say, come inside, have a seat, hang out, be in the backyard, basement, whatever, living room, bedroom. Open up your house. You said these people are welcome, right? You're on the socialist side of things. You know, you believe in these people having or being able to partake in the American dream. Kamala, let them in. Let them in. Find them some housing. But poor DC taxpayers, DMV taxpayers, now have to bear the burden of these people, and everybody living in DC will have to bear the burden of these people. But this is just, you know, and I feel bad for the migrants themselves. You know, these people coming off this bus here, I feel bad for them. Look at these children. Could you imagine? Could you imagine, you know, being these children and having to take this trek and this journey, first across the border and then now on this bus and in DC or in this foreign place, you have nowhere to go. It's just not fair for the Democrat. It's just not fair to them what the Democrats have done to their lives. So, you know, I wish them all well, and hope things get better with the border crisis. Let's go back in the grift bag. Like I said, we got a mixed bag of grift. We got to talk about Elon. Let's go right here. So Anderson Cooper, I'll have to pause it a few times just for, you know, any copyright purposes. But Anderson Cooper has TDS. So let's go right into that. Let's hear what Anderson Cooper has to say.
Something about what we witnessed at last night's town hall. Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions, and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer.
So the first thing he says, lie after lie after lie after lie. And then obviously he doesn't provide any evidence as to what Trump lied about. He just labels it as a lie, which is a framing tactic carried out by many media personalities. Let's continue.
It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see.
It wasn't disturbing. It was entertaining, Anderson. It was disturbing to you because you're a snowflake normie. To the rest of us, it was enjoyable. To the rest of America, the people who are real people, it was enjoyable, Anderson.
See and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug.
Now, we knew they were going to go for that line right there. We knew they were going to go for that line. So look at how he opens up. We're not even 30 seconds in, and who does he use in his diatribe? Black people. Black people. We are the main target. We are the people to be exploited by leftists, and they want to pull on our heartstrings and go racist. Now, you said he had a whole bunch of lies. You've shown no evidence of that yet. We're still going to finish playing the video. Like I said, I haven't watched this video. But You show no evidence for that, but you have evidence for this race. Like, you point to exactly what he said. So it just goes to show you, when you said lie, 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 you didn't have any evidence to back that up. Let's continue.
An adjective he used many times to describe black men, and called Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was...
So the two protected categories, black people, protected, right? Black people and women. Again, feminine, tugging on the energy of women, of feminine energy. Let's continue.
Disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January.
What? When did Trump say anything about QAnon? You see these buzzwords that they use? Like, they know how people feel about QAnon, so he throws QAnon in there. Come on, man. Hold on, I got that soundbite. Where is it? I gotta move my stuff around.
Come on, man.
January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his...
So the audience was disturbing? So now you're attacking the audience? So these people can't think on their own recognizance? They can't have a mind of their own. They have to think how you think, Anderson?
Continued defamation of a woman who...
Keep in mind, CNN, I'm sure there was some event coordinator who filled those seats, especially because I think this information was found last minute, unless Trump and his team filled these seats. But CNN allowed these people in the building. Won't you have some respect for the people that you allowed in your employer's building? Give these people some respect.
Go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Caitlin Collins did trying to fact check...
What? We're not even gonna rehash that.
Him, it is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now...
Did you guys catch that? Did you guys just catch that? Because this is exactly what I said in the beginning. He doesn't have evidence to back it up. And listen to what he says here.
Check him, it is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly.
It is impossible to fact check because he lies shamelessly. If he's lying, then you should be able to fact check him. How can't you fact check him? That's your excuse for not being able to provide evidence to refute his claims. So you just say it's impossible. You just tell the people, you know, people who don't know no better, the normies, regular everyday folk, the rank and file who don't know any better. You just tell them it's impossible to fact check, and they're going to take your word for it.
Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that. Giving him the audience, the time, I get that.
So now he has to defend his employer.
But this is what I also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president.
Facts.
And according to polling, no other Republican is even close.
You heard what he said? No other Republican is even close, according to the polling. DeSantis, have a seat, baby.
That man you were so upset to hear from last night,
we weren't upset to hear from him.
He may be president of the United States in less than 2 years.
Yes, he may. Shout out to our 47th president.
And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country. They are your family members, your neighbors.
That's a sampling of about half the country.
And they are voting. And many said they're voting for him.
Ah, I see the play here. I see the play here. Okay, so framing the audience as the enemy, as the competition, drive people to the voting booth. I get it. I get it.
Now,
you have competition. These people are real. I get it.
Maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It happen again. Maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him.
No investigation is stopping my president.
Well, it hasn't so far.
Facts. It hasn't so far, and it's not going to, because you guys got a whole bunch of nothing burgers.
So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again.
Yep.
He hasn't changed, and he is running hard.
Pause, Anderson.
You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again.
They trying to save the ratings. They trying to save the ratings. They brought him up there to save your station, bro.
But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away? If we all only listen to those we agree with, it may actually do the opposite. If lies are allowed to go unchecked, as imperfect as our ability to check them is on a stage in real time.
Okay, so this is the call to action. This is the call to action part of the monologue. You know, call to action, you have to listen to these people rhetoric so you can combat it.
Those lies continue and those lies spread. If you're angry or upset, I understand, but you have the power to do something about it. You can actually get involved. You can make a difference, whatever side of the aisle you're on.
Yeah. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. TDS still has not found a cure. We still have not found a cure for Trump derangement syndrome. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. But as you can see, what they're trying to do, they're trying to mobilize the voting bloc, the voting bases, get people charged up, and it's officially grifting season. Welcome to the Grift Report. Let's go back. Let's go back in the grift bag. Let's see what else we got in here. We're moving right along at a fast pace. We're gonna cover Elon, but first, check this out.
How Canadians pay for everyday things is changing. Some are using less cash in favor of other payment methods. To keep up with the changing ways that people pay, the Bank of Canada is exploring a digital Canadian dollar, also known as a central bank digital currency. Simply put, this would be a digital version of cash, but it wouldn't replace cash. It would have the same dollar value, and it would be accessible to anyone and everyone.
It's a little bit misleading saying it won't replace cash. Really what they're saying is it's not a change in currency, but it's a little misleading to say it won't replace cash. I think it's definitely going to replace cash.
You could use this digital Canadian dollar to buy everyday things, just like you use cash or a bank card, but it would be different. Unlike cash,
but it would be different.
You wouldn't need to carry multiple bills or change.
See, there they go, trying to get rid of the cash.
Like a bank card, it would work for both in-person and online purchases. Similar to banknotes, it could possibly still be used when the internet is not available.
Really? Interesting. Settling payments without the internet. Yeah, it's definitely some blockchain technology there. Probably like it's similar to some layer 2 stuff happening there.
Just like the cash in your wallet, it wouldn't earn interest. But it would be secure and private.
Secure and private, there's the sales points.
You could keep your digital dollars securely on a phone, a card, or another device.
You hear that? Phone, card, or another device. Now they show a tablet, but it doesn't have to be a tablet. It could be a chip.
At this point, at the Bank of Canada, we're
a microchip underneath your skin.
Still studying the possibility of issuing a digital Canadian dollar.
Studying the possibility of issuing a digital Canadian dollar.
And how it might work. Tell us what you think about a digital Canadian dollar by taking part in our public consultation.
So what they want now is they want you to be a part of their experiment. The Canadians, they want you to be a part of the experiment. What they're going to do is they know people are going to complain and ask a lot of questions. So this is basically like a survey. This is a common thing we do in marketing to see how people are thinking about said product. So what they're going to do is they're going to hear all the gripes and complaints and all the content that goes out about the CBDC, and then they'll form rebuttals for everything so that when they begin to roll this stuff out, they'll have a new video which will have all the rebuttals built in, and they'll try to negate or neutralize some of your talking points. So like we've covered CBDCs extensively on this channel. menoforder.com has a blog called Bitcoin's evil twin brother, the CBDC. That phrase is coined by Cyprian, and I had an interview with Cyprian, and he's done presentations on his channel on this, formerly known as Vin Armani. So this is a real thing. It's coming. So you guys be prepared. America, you're up next. You're up next. Let's go back in the grift bag, just keeping you up to date on all that's happening. Right now, I want to talk. Wait, hold on. Let's play this first. Let's go here. We should have played this after the Chrissie video. Because it's all in the same vein. But let's go here. Libs of TikTok posted this video. Let's play it.
My pronouns are they, them.
Thanks. I'm Sam. I'm she, they, but you already know that.
Wow. What an amazing city.
Did y'all catch that? Did you guys catch that? This is a children's Transformers program. Now remember, they call it TV programming because they're programming your mind.
I'm sorry for how I reacted. It's just, sometimes the world can be a scary place. It's hard to know who's dangerous or not.
That's true, though disappointing.
Hey, it's okay. I know I'm safe when I'm with my friends or other non-binary people.
Calls the robot non-binary.
Non-binary?
People who aren't female or male. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have assumed.
I always knew my pronouns felt right, but what a wonderful word for a wonderful experience.
You see that? Y'all see this? For the people that said this wasn't real, it wasn't happening. I know a lot of people are in denial. But this is the miseducation that's coming down the pike. And it's happening right here in the children's cartoons. Shout out to my rumblers rumbling. I appreciate you. Hit the like button. YouTube, hit the like button. So she says, hey, these are my pronouns, she, they. And then she refers to the bot as non-binary. And he gets an education on what non-binary is. So there is some rainbow education, miseducation, I would call it. But there is some rainbow education involved here, targeting children. Beware, people. Beware. The beast is here. The beast is here. Let's go back in the bag. We're going to cover Elon in a second and his new hire. We got a lot of clips to play for that. But first, we're going to talk about black slave owners. We always have a nice little segment on the Griff Report that is, educational. Some big brain stuff. Let's pull this up on your screen. Let's make this look good here. Boom. Okay, here we go. So This is from an article. It says 10. Let me fix this on the screen. Hold on. There we go. 10 black slave owners that will tear apart historical perception. All right. In the year 1830, at the height of the transatlantic slave trade, there were an estimated 2 million people enslaved in the United States. In the vast majority of cases, they were Africans or, and then let's go to the next slide here. And he has this wonderful picture here. It looks like possibly the Songhai Empire. And then they have this passage, and we have a little bit of reading here to do. And I'm going to read the majority of this so you guys can get a little bit of education. I'm going to break down some parts here to give a full perspective on slavery in America. So it says, acknowledged in the history books, justification centers on the claim that black slave masters were simply individuals who purchased the freedom of a spouse or child from a white slave owner and had been unable to legally manumit them. Although this did indeed happen at times, it is a misrepresentation of the majority of instances, one which is debunked by records of the period on blacks who owned slaves. These include individuals such as Justice Angel and Mistress L. Horry of Colleton District, South Carolina, who each owned 84 slaves in 1830. In fact, in 1830, a fourth of free Negro slave masters in South Carolina owned 10 or more slaves, 8 owning 30 or more. The majority of slaveholders, white and black, owned only 1 to 5 slaves. Now I'm gonna stop right there to maybe expound on this a little bit. So imagine somebody with 1 to 5 slaves. Well, that to me sounds like, well, Hillary Clinton. Particularly how she exploited the 13th Amendment to have, well, let's see if we can pull that article up. Let's go to our Google overlords. Hillary Clinton slaves. Let's see if it pops up. Here we go. Hillary Clinton had slaves. Here we go. And there's an article here. Right here, it says Clinton, however, generous enough to allow inmates from Arkansas prison to work as unpaid servants in a governor's mansion. In It Takes a Village, Hillary writes that the resident was staffed with African American men in their 30s. Since using prison labor at the governor's mansion was a longstanding tradition, which kept down costs. It is unclear just how longstanding the tradition of having chained black laborers brought to work as maids and gardeners had been. But one has no doubt that as the white residents of a mansion staffed with unpaid blacks, the Clintons were continuing a certain historic Southern practice. Hillary Clinton did note, however, that she and Bill were sure not to show undue lenience to the slave servants, writing that we enforced rules strictly and sent back to the prison any inmate who broke a rule. So we know that this is also a modern practice. This is not an ancient practice. This is also, or it's not solely an ancient practice. This is also a modern practice, and we showed this just right there to Hillary Clinton's own admission. And you'll even see this in places like the Philippines. In the Philippines, I spoke to a gentleman who made a meager income, but he showed me his house in the Philippines, and he had, well, help. In foreign countries, you know, you'll have help, and sometimes the help will stay there. And it's just basically like a modern, mild version of slavery where you're not beating them. They're not chained. You don't own them, but they will spend the majority of their life with you, you know, and they have kids and the whole nine. And, you know, I'll be honest with you. I have family in Jamaica, and in Jamaica, it's not uncommon for people to have a maid. You know, a live-in maid. My family had one down there, you know. So the reason why I'm saying that is you can't always perceive a slave to be a slave how Hollywood wants you to believe, you know, with the chains and the whips and the mean stuff. So what they do is they try to take that little piece or that portion of slavery and make it seemed like that was how all of slavery was practiced. But as you can see here, they had, the majority of slave owners, white and black, only had 1 to 5 slaves. And that's probably because that's all they could afford to take care of, because you do have to feed them and take care of them. Anyway, it says more often than not, and contrary to a century and a half of bullwhips on tortured backs propaganda, black and white masters worked and ate alongside their charges. And that's another thing, like, when you really dive into some of the work here, you'll see that slaves were like part of the family. It said, be it in a house, field, or workshop, the few individuals who owned 50 or more slaves were confined to the top 1% and have been defined as slave magnates. In 1860, there were at least 6 Negroes in Louisiana. What do they call the Louisiana Boule blacks? Creole. They would probably call them Creole. And these are you will get your mixed blacks or your light-skinned blacks. They would look like Beyonce, for example. They would have good hair. Let's continue. It said 1860, there were at least 6 Negroes in Louisiana who owned 65 or more slaves. The largest number, 152 slaves, were owned by the widow, C. Richards, and her son, P.C. Richards, who owned a large sugarcane plantation. Another Negro slave magnate in Louisiana with over 100 slaves was Antoine Dubuclet, a sugar planter whose estate was valued at, in 1860 $264,000. That year, the mean wealth of Southern white men was $3,978. So they like to paint this picture as if, black people never had anything in this country until LBJ came around and saved us, and that, white men had a privilege. No, I've said this before, much of the roots of of racism in America points to poor white men jealous of, one, well-to-do blacks, 2, slaves. You had poor white men who were jealous of slaves because the white man worked harder than the slave. Why? Well, back in these days, you didn't have Google to go to the office and make your income. You had to go out and you had to work. And if you guys go look at the history on labor in America, there's a lot of laws that were passed because labor was brutal. You worked 12 hours a day and you got a little bit of pay and you lived in a shack. Many of these white men lived in a shack. If you ever played Red Dead Redemption, it's one of the best historical games I've ever played. And it gives you an idea of what life was like, in this time period of America. Well, actually, that's more like Native American time period, but you get what I'm saying. But life wasn't easy for all white men. You had to earn a living. You had to survive. Whereas a slave would work and everything was provided for him. In fact, some slave owners dressed their slaves very, very well, very nice. They had some of the best threads, and they could go outside of the plantation and earn a little side income. And we're going to get into some more detail here because we got another slide after this one. But, imagine you're a white man and you're having to work. You don't dress as nice as some of these slaves did. So there's that jealousy that fostered. Let's continue. Interestingly, considering today's accounts of life under slavery, authors Johnson and Roque report instances where free Negroes petitioned to be allowed to become slaves. This because they were unable to support themselves. Again, going back to the realization that life during this time period was not easy. You didn't have a microwave. Electricity was not a thing as it is today. You had outhouses. Like, life was hard. So, if you couldn't make it, you were like, look, man, I'll just come work for you. Now, you got to ask yourself, if slavery was so bad in some of these areas, why would somebody volunteer for that? Obviously, being a slave had to be better than supporting yourself. Regarding black ex-slave William Ellison, As with the slaves of his white counterparts, occasionally Ellison's slaves ran away. The historians of Sumter District reported that from time to time, Ellison advertised for the return of his runaways. On at least one occasion, Ellison hired the services of a slave catcher. According to an account by Robert N. Andrew, a white man who had purchased a small hotel in Slateburg in 1820s, Ellison hired him to run down a valuable slave. Andrews caught the slave in Belleville, Virginia. He stated, "I was paid on returning home $77.50 and $74 for expenses." So a black man paid a white man to go get his black slave back. Okay, now I just want to preface for the people that are going to take this and clip it and put it on Reddit, because I know there's a whole bunch of clips of me on Reddit every time I do one of these streams. And, you know, they want to call me sellout and coon. My motive here is not to minimize the role of slavery in our lives. My purpose today in presenting this, and keep in mind this is a thread by a black man that put this out, is to paint the full picture. Now, why do I want to paint the full picture? Well, I believe that it is quite detrimental to little black boys and girls to make them believe that they never had power and that they come from slaves. Subconsciously, this is detrimental to the mind of a little black boy and a little black girl. How do I know this? Because I was once a little black boy, and I remember thinking in my head, wow, if we come from slaves, am I inferior? I had these thoughts. These are real thoughts I had. Why? Because nobody gave me the full picture. So I think it's more powerful to teach the full picture of slavery and say, you know, you can't just teach one part of history. You got to teach all of it and let people come to their own conclusions on their own. So it's different if you tell a little black boy slavery happened, but did you know the first legal slave owner in America was a black man? They go, no, I didn't know that. Did you know there's many black slave owners? And they had black slaves and they were rich? Because they'll make it seem like, because the picture in their head is, if you're black, you're a slave, and that's the end all be all. There is no freedom for you. You can become a freedman. You know, some people buy their freedom, or, you know, however, you know, many ways that happens. I don't want to go into those details. You guys are familiar with that, I'm sure. If not, go do your research. But it's very important to paint that picture of how free men lived during this time period. Let's continue. Regarding, following in their father's footsteps, the Ellison family actively supported the Confederacy throughout the war. So again, they'll tell you, oh, black people are supposed to be afraid of the Confederate flag. But here we have the Ellison family supporting the Confederacy. They converted nearly their entire plantation to the production of corn, fodder, bacon, corn shucks, and cotton for the Confederate armies. They paid $5,000 in taxes during the war. They also invested more than $9,000 in Confederate bonds, treasury notes, and certificates in addition to the Confederate currency they held. As an interesting sideline to black slave owners in the South of the USA is that there were also an estimated 65,000 Southern blacks in the Confederate military, including over 13,000 who fought against the North in battle. And we're familiar with that information, but let's continue. It says a well-known and favorably reviewed novel, The Known World, by black author Edward P. Jones, has tackled the issue of black-owned slaves, much to the surprise of those readers who had never heard of black slave owners. However, the interesting story of blacks who owned slaves is largely ignored by the media. Correct. Now let's go to the next slide here. So it says, another thing here, it says, little has been published regarding those blacks who owned black slaves in the USA. However, more research is bringing this little known subject to light. Philip Burnham, in the article Selling Poor Stephen, published in the February-March 1933 issue of American Heritage, found that in the U.S. Census of 1830, there were 3,775 free blacks who owned 12,740 black slaves. Burnham wrote about the slave John Kasor, who was denied his freedom by black slave owner Anthony Johnson. And I believe Anthony Johnson is the individual that was the first legal black slave owner. And I think it was the precedent set by this case here. And we're going to go into it. It says, in the 1640s, John Kasor was brought from Africa to America, where he toiled as a servant for a Virginia landowner. In 1654, Kasor filed a complaint in Northampton County Court claiming that his master, Anthony Johnson, had unjustly extended the terms of his indenture with the intention of keeping Kasor his slave for life. Now, we have to unpack that before we finish. Number one, if blacks didn't have any freedom during this time period, how did he file paperwork at a county court and have it accepted and have his case seen? This is a slave who filed paperwork and had his case seen. If it was like the movies, they'd have told him, get your black ass out of here. But that's not what happened. Secondly, what does it say here? It says he had the intention of keeping Kasor his slave for life, which means that he must have had in his mind that there could be temporary indentured servitude, meaning that, and I've said this before, because slavery, when it was practiced in Africa, was very much like indentured servitude, where there was a time period where you worked and then you were freed for whatever reason that may be, right? So the same thing was happening in America. Some slaves could serve a certain amount of time based upon the agreements with their master and then be set free. So Hollywood would make you seem like, no, you're the slave, you're a slave, and the only way to get free is to run away, run an underground railroad and all of that stuff. But if he thought this, that you have to say to yourself, well, then he must not be the only one who had the potential for temporary servitude. So let's continue. It says, Johnson, insisting he knew nothing of any indenture, fought hard to retain what he regarded as his personal property. After much wrangling, on March 8th, 1655, the court ruled that the said John Kasor Negro shall forthwith be returned unto the service of his master Anthony Johnson, consigning him to a bitter lifetime of bondage. Given the vulnerable legal status of servants, black and white, in colonial America, the decision was not surprising, but the documents reveal one additional fact of interest. Anthony Johnson, like his chattel Kasor, was black. Now, keep in mind what they said here. They said legal status of servants, black and white. So you can't take the slave label and just put it on black folks. You also have to put into perspective that there were also white slaves in America. Fact. And let's see if we can find that. Right here, you'll see in the 17th century, 18th century, more than 300,000 white people were shipped to America as slaves in the 17th and 18th century. This is White Cargo. This is a book called White Cargo, The Forgotten History of Britain's White Slaves in America. And this is something I always talk to people about, where I say, you know, when you talk about this idea of white in America, it's not about racism, it's about classism. And when we look at the early white man in America, as you can see here, 17th and 18th centuries, that would be 1600s and 1700s, 300,000 white people were shipped to America as slaves. The white population of America didn't migrate here as pilgrims, as people would tell you, you know, Thanksgiving and that whole. No, they were forced here. They were forced. They were kicked out of You see, urchins were swept up from the streets, from London streets to labor in the tobacco fields where life expectancy was no more than 2 years. And that's when they started bringing black people in because black people were surviving under the sun. Brothels were rated to provide breeders. Oh, I'm sorry. Brothels were rated to provide breeders for Virginia, right? So you had the derelicts, the lower class of London. They wanted to clean the streets up and get rid of the dregs of their society and ship them to America. So you want to make it seem like white people had it good, and it's just like, which white people? The aristocracy or the rank and file or the slaves? Who are we talking about here? And this is the omission from history that I believe is an attack on the black mind and sustains the idea of white supremacy in white people's minds and black people's minds, because you'll grow up thinking only black people were slaves and white people were free and owned us, but they don't tell you that white people were slaves. And this is the thing that subconsciously hurts black and black boys and girls, because you're thinking you are the slaves and white man is master. And subconsciously, that's detrimental to the growth of your mind. Let's go back. Carter G. Woodson. Now, I've read several documents from Carter G. Woodson, known black historian, and he says, whose grandparents and father had been slaves, was one of the first to write about the black slave owners. In Free Negro Owners of Slaves in the United States, let's pull that up. Free Negro, right here. You see it right here. Free Negro Owners of Slaves in the United States in 1830. This is by Carter G. Woodson. Okay. University of Chicago Journal. So this isn't no QA9 conspiracy theory stuff. Okay. This is documented by scholars. Published in 1924, Woodson gives the names and number of slaves owned by free blacks counted in the U.S. Census in 1830, listing them by name and the member of slaves owned. Michael P. Tremogli, in the Black Roots of Slavery, also noted the issue of black slave owners. He said there were many free blacks in the American colonies. They were enfranchised, and as early as 1841, Matthias de Sousa were elected to legislatures. Elected to legislators. Free blacks elected to legislators as early as 1641. Why would you omit that from history unless the Democrats, the leftists, wanted black people to think of themselves as lesser than white folks and others? Why would you omit that? Why wouldn't you tell us that? These free blacks owned slaves, some for philanthropic reasons, as Carter G. Woodson suggests. However, as John Hope Franklin wrote, free Negroes had a real economic interest in the institution of slavery and held slaves in order to improve their economic status. And this is just a common thing in the economy at that time. This is how you got labor. The census of 1830 lists 965 free black slave owners in Louisiana owning 4,206 slaves. The state of South Carolina lists 464 free blacks owning 2,715 slaves. How ironic is it that so many blacks owned so many slaves in South Carolina, yet no one seemed to mention this during the flag controversy? Some blacks served in the Confederate Army, which is another omission in our popular culture. The movie Glory did not happen to mention that blacks served in the Confederate Army. It did give the impression that the black soldiers in the 54th Massachusetts were former slaves, which was not true. So not only does Hollywood give you a skewed version of history, they even lie about it. They even lie about it. So this is the revision of history that we need here. The absolute revision of history, which is necessary for all minds in America. So why would this happen? Well, obviously, to keep the divide, to keep the black and white divide. The aristocracy understood that if we can keep black and white people at odds, the aristocracy, the bureaucracy can hold power. The oligarchs can hold power. And this is a common thing amongst emperors, is to keep people at odds so they never look at your mistakes and your misdeeds. So again, just a little bit of education, and we're going to open up phone lines. First, we're going to go into Elon. We're going into Elon next and his new hire. We got a bunch of videos to play here about who this lady is. But first, let's go right here. I didn't watch this clip, but we're going to take a look at it. Put this up on your screen. This is, I do want to give credit to who posted this. Oh, I'm in the wrong screen. Hold on. All right, here we go. Whoop. All right, here we go. So this is Liberty Lockdown with Clint Russell. He said, this is a woke struggle session. Very, very, very bad news that Elon would experience this and then hire this person as CEO. So let's play this clip from his new CEO.
So you've got a massive platform. You have a vision that is a spectrum of just daily open sourced conversation. And they can conduct their lives, their business, their commerce, whatever they can do on your platform. That's a pretty big vision. But in the middle should be advertising opportunity. That sounds like a great opportunity. I can talk about my brand. I can get my customers to communicate, and then they could also buy stuff. It sounds pretty good, right?
You'll be able to buy things just directly on Twitter. One click, boom, done.
But they need to feel that there is an opportunity for them to influence what you're building, that vision. What we're doing here, whether it's me trying to push and prod you on your tweets. For example, you've said you probably...
Now, keep in mind, I hadn't watched this, so I'm going to be just as surprised as you based upon what's in this, the contents of this video.
Shouldn't tweet after 3 a.m.
Well, I've got myself
Probably good advice for all of us.
I've gotten myself into trouble a few times.
I'm very aware of those. So after 3 a.m., you travel all over the world. Lord knows how you handle time zones in space. Will you commit to be a little more specific and not tweet after 3 a.m.? People in this room would like to see that. They'll make them feel more confident.
I will aspire to tweet less after 3 a.m. But I mean, it is important that, you know, I mean, if I were to say, yes, you can influence me, that would be wrong. That would be very wrong. Because that would be a diminishment of freedom of speech.
But I want to be specific about influencing. It's more of an open feedback loop for the advertising experts in this room to help develop Twitter into a place where they will be excited about investing more money. Product development, ad safety, content moderation. That's what the influence is.
Yeah, I think it's totally cool to say that you want to have your advertising appear in certain places in Twitter and not in other places. But it is not cool to try to say what Twitter will do. And if that means losing advertising dollars, we lose it. But freedom of speech is paramount.
So
I just want to know why Ye, formerly known as Kanye, and Alex Jones don't have the right to freedom of speech on the Twitter platform.
Twitter 1.0 had a very well-populated, much-loved influence council. I think we need to change the name. Elon does not want to be influenced. But it was really a recurring feedback loop from your key stakeholders, your advertisers, where they had recurring access or would have recurring access to you. Would you commit from this stage today to reinstate that council?
So, yeah, I think she's talking about the council that was basically governing content.
Named later?
Well, I don't think it should be influence council. And you have to say, I would be wary of that creating a backlash among the public, because if the public thinks that you know their views are being determined by a small number of CMOs in America, they will be like, I think, upset about that. But feedback, I think, is appropriate.
So she suggests bringing back that Twitter Safety Council, whatever that was an absolute disaster that resulted in shadow banning, as was exposed by the Twitter files, and collusion with the government, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go back in the grift bag. I got more. We got plenty of Elon tweets. Look at this tweet right here from Truthseeker. It says, thinking that Elon Musk bought Twitter to preserve free speech is like thinking Bill Gates bought 260,000 acres of farmland to stop hunger. Savage. Hold on, we got more. Hold on. Look at this take. Look at this take right here. This is in response to Cadillac. Hold on. Here we go. So Hidden Pluto says he wants to put microchips in people's heads. He's making a fleet of robots. He wants to create an everything app that runs our whole lives. But Elon is based. He said mean things about liberals on the internet. Most conservatives are gullible retards. Man, unforgiving. The internet is unforgiving. Let's go to the next tweet. Take a look here. And Luke Rudkowski, I believe of the Tim Cass team, said, and here come the shadow bans again. And we're all getting shadow banned. Why? Because this woman is executive chair of the World Economic Forum. Let's go to this next tweet. Got a lot in the grift bag. Funny seeing people from all walks of life lose their minds over the new CEO. Y'all thought a military contractor who wants to put a chip in your brain bought this app for free speech? He got everybody's data for bargain bin prices. His bottom line doesn't care about free speech. The internet is unforgiving. These are the type of people I like to follow because they're not just, well, there's two different groups here, right? There's two different groups here, right? You got Elon nut huggers and people with a brain, right? So the Elon nut huggers are in two different categories, right? It's the people who haven't gotten a response from Elon and people who have. Now, the people who have, there's some people who tweet at Elon and he responds to them pretty much on a consistent basis. So this grifter class has some connection to Elon. He joins their Twitter spaces or whatever it is. So these people are going to defend Elon because they have a relationship with Elon. And I can understand that. Usually when you have a good relationship with someone, you defend them. Then you have the nut huggers that have no connection to Elon, but want a connection to Elon, so they will defend him. So these are the Elon nut huggers. And then you have the rest of us that are like, well, me, I'm just like, Elon's cool and all, but I don't agree with all his decisions. I'm not about to be an Elon nut hugger just so he can tweet back at me. I'm not doing that, bro. And I don't like some of the moves he's made. New Twitter CEO Linda Yaccarino was a major player in the Vax campaign. And I have a quote here. It says, throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ad Council has moved incredibly quickly, rallying the marketing and media community to create and share urgent public health messages with American people, said Linda Yaccarino, board chair of the Ad Council and chairman, global advertising and partnerships of NBC Universal. As our country enters the next crucial phase of this crisis, I know our industry will once again answer the Ad Council's call, sharing this responsibility and offer their partnership in support. So as you can see where she lies on that. Now let's go to this next clip. Well, let's go, before we go to that next clip, let's go here. Zero Hedge, he said Musk is hiring Yaccarino in hopes of boosting advertising. She's the chair of Advertising Council's board of directors. Only issue, she is chair of the World Economic Forum's Task Force on Future of Work. So obviously she's a good fit if Elon wants to monetize. I can totally understand why he picked her, because she has a lot of influence in advertising. I don't agree with the pick. It's still too early to tell, as some people are saying. I'm going to say this is a dumpster fire waiting to happen. But she is a good fit for advertisers since she's just so high up in that world. Let's go to the next clip. And some people say she's even, got a little bit of MAGA in her, which I guess is good, right? You want somebody who's going to look at both sides. Let's go to the next clip. See this clip right here?
Hey everybody, Linda Yaccarino here, class of 1980. We're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about masking up or packing up. I promise you, we're doing good so far. Just keep your distance, get your hands washed often, get tested often, and wear your mask. That'll get us closer and closer to normal days. We are resilient. We are tough. Keep doing it. And
if we're resilient and tough, we don't need all that stuff you mentioned.
We'll be back at Beaver Stadium before you know it. Mask up or pack up. We're almost there. We are.
We're almost there. Mask up or pack up. That's this.
Hey, everybody.
Mask up or pack up. Our way or the highway should have been what they said. Absolutely deplorable. Let's go to this next clip. Hadn't watched this one either, so I'll be right there along with y'all. Let's see what she says here.
I can talk about, things that my company is doing to accelerate, right? To accelerate what we were doing already, but realizing that it wasn't enough. So what immediately started happening was that under the leadership of Brian Roberts and Jeff Shell, Comcast set up a fund to the value of $100 million to fight social justice and equality. And
you heard that? $100 million to fight social justice and what'd she say, equality?
To the value of $100 million to fight social justice and equality.
Social justice and equality. Quite vague terms that absolutely mean nothing.
And
$100 million, just basically just throw it out the window.
And obviously supporting many, many important groups. But it really made a very public statement that we're going to put our money where our mouth is. We're not going anywhere. And it inspired action across every corner of our company. Because what it also did was made leadership of our company accountable. We have this $100 million. What are you doing? What's the update? Where are you with that? But it also gave a lot of us opportunity to say, here's our update. How can you help? What do you think we should be doing, right? So I think it's very exciting. And there's been a lot of exciting steps of progress at our company. Because for a lot of companies, we needed to take a moment and actually open our aperture. I'll use maybe a TV or a film reference to say, okay, we thought we were doing enough. Clearly we weren't. So then we had to make sure we were taking the right steps to direct funds towards the right organizations, to make a public statement of accountability like Cesar Conde, our new chairman of news, who made a public statement that was confronting editorial bias and saying, my division, our news division, the biggest news division in the country, is going to be 50% women and 50% people of color. Ambitious goals? Yes, no doubt about it.
So it looks like she's talking to a black woman, maybe potentially other people. But we saw the black woman on the screen there. And she wants 50% black and female, or black and woman. I don't know if they can even define what a woman is anymore, but whatever. So again, if anybody can identify as a woman, how do you calculate the wage gap when somebody transitions into a woman? And is that taking jobs away from women? Or it's not taking jobs, right? Because the person is now a woman. Anyway, I can understand giving opportunity to minorities. For example, you get your desk receives 100 applications. If black people are 13% of the population, I can understand wanting to see 13% of those applications being black people. I can understand that. I wouldn't fight that, right? But to try to shoehorn black people and women into your corporation at a 50% rate, just for, diversity and equity and inclusion, I think is a bad idea. And I think the ramifications are, what'll happen is, when you start saying we're going to do 50% black and women, what you're saying is we're going to employ black women.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Because you check off both boxes with a single hire. Not only did we get a woman, but we got a woman of color or a black woman. Where does that leave the black man? Then we look at cities like Chicago, Detroit, LA, et cetera, down to Louisiana. And we're seeing men not being able to provide for their family, mostly because look at what these corporations are doing. They're giving the opportunities to black women. So now the black man can't take care of his household. His son grows up. Now he's a drug dealer. He's involved in the streets. He doesn't know how to manage himself. And now he's got to change his pronouns, right? Because he doesn't have that masculine presence in his life. So that's the detrimental thing that'll happen when you try to practice stuff like this, is men will be left out in the cold. Men, period. Specifically, black men. Because, like I told you, they'll say black and women, but they'll check off both boxes by hiring a black woman. And then the whole place will be black women. And these black women will be just like Ebony K. Williams, complaining about how they can't find a high-value man. And it's because you've taken his job. Let's continue.
But a statement, a stake in the ground with accountability. And I'm happy to say there's many, many other examples of progress at our company, divisions like mine, working with Add Color and T. Howard Foundation. So there's so many examples of us trying to listen, learn, but do. And I'll say the do, I'll say where our goal is really to be intentional about when we go back and give those report outs, that we're accountable and and we can report progress and that we're proud of what we're doing. So I think it's an exciting time that's come out of such adversity for so many people.
Phone lines is open, 202-596-5631, 202-596-5631. Let's go ahead and get that number in the chat for my people. We can begin to call in. Lord have mercy. Super chats, opinionated junkie, like Gone with the Wind. Yeah, it's a good example. I haven't seen that movie since I was a child. Inside the Ages, don't believe your eyes, Anderson Spooker. Inside of the Ages, the Bible talks about slavery because they had no word for employee. It's always been a fine line. Tale as old as time itself. Debt is always slavery.
Call from
Goldstein.
Hotep Goldstein, you on the line, bro. What's up, man? How you feeling?
Doing good. How you doing?
Life is good. Life is good. Talk to me, bro. What's on your mind? You there? Yo. Looks like
I said this,
oh, there you go.
This earlier in a video on Twitter, but to reiterate, the Elon Musk thing, dude was a part of the WEF when he came in, and now everybody's shocked that he's like handing the reins of power over to another WEF member. Come on. Really? I mean, he may not have been hella active, but he was a part of the crew. So I mean, damn, like that. And if that wasn't enough of a red flag, he talking about he pounding the pavement hard as hell for free speech, but I don't see Ye or Fuentes or Jones, right? And like he had the most public display of I'm knocking down this old order and I'm establishing a new order. The most public display of that was in damn Twitter files, and the first thing he do to them is hand them over to the FBI. So I ain't trying to hear shit about how Elon was saving the day. That fool was a part of the plan from the jump. The plan continues unfettered because of people like Soda and that Alex dude and this Narwhal or whatever the hell his name is. Just constantly pimping him as he's the solution. Fool ain't been the solution. He's been part of the problem since jump.
Oh, man. You ain't never lied. You ain't never lied.
Man. And as far as the slaves, hey, everybody listening, y'all better start sussing out prospects because we heading back to them days.
Oh, man.
You better start looking around to see who you can make you some before you become one.
Before you become one. Bars.
That's about all I got, though, man. You have a good afternoon.
Hotep and Bill.
Dude.
Hotep Goldstein on the check-in. Hotep Goldstein on the daily check-in. Inside Agent says, I think Elon has more power over women versus the WEF. Carmen Smith said Goldstein gets it. Jabari Judas says, owner of Twitter pretends to be a conservative. New CEO pretends to be a liberal. Controlling both sides of the narrative is the rich man's forte. Y'all over the target.
Call from
Rudy the Blue Ranch Vet.
Rudy the Blue Ranch Vet. What's up, bro? Talk to me, man. What's on your mind?
What's going on, HJ, man? Hey, man, whoever gave me that Blue Ranch, man, I appreciate the recognition, man. I love it, man.
That was me. I saw you in the chat. I was like, let me go ahead and hit him off right now.
Man, I've been trying to join the membership, brother. And they keep saying, the chat says hit the button. All they give me is super chat. But I went on somebody the other day, and they were members only, and I had an option to join. Their chat was members only, so I was saying maybe one day throw members only so more people can join, man.
So wait, you saw it on somebody else's account, but not mine?
Yeah, like somebody else's account. Like their chat was members only, right?
Oh, okay.
It was the Pat McAfee. I was watching some Pat McAfee, and they were having a chat, and it's members only, and then it says join.
Yeah.
Steph and Cam and them have been saying hit the button where the super chat is, but all it gives me is super chat and super sticker. It doesn't give me an option.
Did you update your app?
Yeah, man. All right, after that day we had that last time we talked about it, but look, I live with a Blue Wrench, man. I live with a Blue Wrench.
They hating, man. They hating, man. Hey, I hope that gets rectified.
Who needs a blue check from Twitter when you can get a Blue Wrench from the Hoteps, man? That's
quotable.
Quotable. Hey, look, that was Goldstein that called first, man, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Goldstein. You got it twisted, man. We're all slaves. We're all slaves. We're born into it. We're given a social security number. That's your slave number. And then right now, every U.S. citizen is $94,597 in debt to the Federal Reserve. You are all slaves. We are all slaves. We pay taxes. We're slaves. We aren't born free men. We're born into a system where if my 8-year-old stepson is $94,000 in debt to the Federal Reserve. So we're all slaves now, man. We're all slaves right now. But I love the way you brought that around and just showed it's just divide and conquer. It's just divide and conquer. And Elon is a lizard, has always been a lizard, and now he's just showing his scales, man. Because I remember years ago when he was on Rogan, the first time, and he got into that AI. Joe got into that AI conversation with him, and he was high, and he let his guard down, and he talked about how it's going too far, like they went too far too fast.
Yeah.
Now I know you like some of the AI. Me personally, I think it's all nuts, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all nuts. But I mean, the way you break it down, I can see some practical solutions for it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's he's a lizard, man. He's always been a lizard.
He's a lizard.
It's funny how every time some semi-hot liberal chick gets her hands on Elon, you know, they go in the side room and have a little conversation, which isn't really a conversation. He comes out and does their business, man. He's a sucker, dude. He's a sucker, man. He's not a high value. He's not a high value man, dude. He's a sucker, man. It's like, what was that from Boomerang back in the day? Elon, you ain't supposed to let that pussy whip you. You're supposed to whip that pussy. And it just it never works that way, dude. It never works that way for Elon. So look, brother, I love you, man. I appreciate the Blue Wrench so much, man. Keep bringing the truth to the people, man, because Hotep, you know, they were breaking down Hotep, and I'm studying, you know, but to me, Hotep means unity, man. It's unifying the people, man.
That's
Unifying
love.
the people, man.
I like that. I like that. That's love.
I love the nation. I love you, brother. Keep up the good work. Rudy the Blue Wrench vet is out.
Hi, man. Love you, bro. Hotep and Bill. Rudy on the check-in. Damn. I love my callers, man. My callers, y'all are part of the show now, man. Y'all are part of the show now. P-Dub Design says, must watch Vivek and Lindsay Art of the Culture War interview from 1 month ago. Hold on, let's go back to the phones.
From
Inside of the Ages.
Inside of the Ages on the line. What up, bro?
How you doing?
Life is good. Talk to me. What's on your mind?
All right, I'm going to be a bit of a contrarian.
Okay.
First off, if anybody's going to try to go after this global cabal, you're not going to be able to use conventional tactics. I think this is an issue of keep your enemies close. I think this is an issue of, if you look at the success that Elon's had, there's one or two things possible. He's had to either ride their wave long enough to get, you know, into the system enough. Like, I feel like he is a child of that world, but he's got to play the game in such a way that he's not only going to keep us guessing, but he's going to keep them guessing. Now, I'm not completely sold out. Like, I don't know if Elon is you know, good or bad in the grand scheme of things. But if you look at Starlink, he's winning the game. And I think if you look out into the future, he's won the game. And I don't know exactly where it's all going to go, but you have to play the game this way if you're going, because like imagine we're going into this election and the other side has full confidence that he's actually going to allow free speech and he's actually going to like align with you know, conservatives or align with anybody who's against their plan. He has to give them doubt, and in doing that, that's going to give everyone doubt. So for me, the verdict's not out. Like I'm kind of waiting to see what happens and what he does. I'm disappointed in this move, but at the same time, I think, like I said in my tweet or my super chat, I think he has more power over this woman than perhaps the WF has, and I think it remains to be seen exactly how this is all going to play out.
I have on the screen right now, Elon Musk's family once owned an emerald mine in Zambia. Elon comes from money, bro. Big money.
There's no doubt about that.
Okay, so you said he was a child of this, and I'm like, no, he's a child of his dad, and his dad had an emerald mine in Africa, which is just not something that is ordinary or common at all. It's actually extraordinary or extraordinary, right? And you mentioned,
I think that's to be debated. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. It may be.
You don't know if what's true.
I don't doubt it.
If what's true.
Whether or not he had a ruby mine or whatever it was.
All right, let's go to Starlink, right? So you give him credit for Starlink, where I say Starlink is detrimental to places like Africa, right? So for example, him and Zuckerberg have gone on this quest to bring internet to Africa, and they pretend like it's some philanthropic concept. When the truth of the matter is, Facebook peaked, okay? And they couldn't get any more users. So what do? You find out that there are some people that might be on Facebook, but they don't have internet access. So you say, you know what? Let's subsidize that. Let's get them internet access so then we can then onboard them to Facebook and control their minds. Then you have the same thing with Elon. He pops up Starlink. And again, I still believe social media is leading to massive amounts of depression. It's also spreading Western culture. Colonization doesn't come in the form of guns anymore. It comes in the form of digitization. And what it happens is you expose people to these concepts. For example, when you look at South Africa, you know, the home of the Zulu tribe, the home of the Maasai tribe, you have many people who are now all involved in the pronoun game. And you also have a contingent of South Africans who are promoters of this Western concept of social justice and feminism and rainbowism. And the only way they were getting these concepts is through media. So when you say they're beaming Starlink to Africa, what you're saying is he's colonizing Africa by colonizing the minds and bringing them access to all the debauchery, lechery, and bullshit coming out of the Western media. So you look at Starlink as a good thing. I look at Starlink as a greedy thing. Last point I'll say is, who did he support in the war in Ukraine?
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Are you familiar with Amos 6? That was the I was actually working at SpaceX at the time that Zuckerberg's payload blew up on top of the Falcon 9 rocket. So essentially, Zuckerberg's competition to Starlink ended that day, and it blew up on a SpaceX rocket. And I think that was a monumental. That was a peak time in history. I think Starlink is neutral. I think that it can be exactly everything that you just said, but it could also be.
I need you to tackle the point on Ukraine. Whose side was he on? Ukraine's side or Putin, or did he keep his nose out of it?
Initially, he was involved, and he's changed his stance quite a bit.
What did he do? Do you know how he was involved?
He provided internet access.
With what?
With Starlink.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So.
Okay.
So
and we know the I'm trying to figure out how to say it for YouTube, but we know the play in Ukraine. We know the players in Ukraine. We know the motive in Ukraine, and he's assisted that.
So let me ask you this: when John McAfee was assisting our federal government by providing services for the government, does that not open you up to immense amounts of access to what's going on? You know, John McAfee, I think, was ended because he saw the entities responsible entities responsible for
Bro, are you seriously trying to compare this dude to John McAfee? John McAfee was on the run from the United States government.
Exactly right. So don't make the same mistake twice. But my point is, if you can infiltrate these systems by being close to these systems, I guess I don't see what other moves you would make if you were trying to, win the game in the long run. Like if you had this level of access, you would perpetuate it, and you would continue
win the game for who? Win the game for himself or for the people?
I think they could be mutually exclusive. We have the ability, I think, as a collective humanity to project whatever we want onto this and probably even influence the outcome. So for me personally, and that's just it's a weird religious belief that I have, but I kind of feel like we could probably project the most positive outcomes onto these situations and actually cause them to occur. Now that's nuts, but I've seen it happen.
I could just leave it there.
Fair enough, man. I appreciate the call, man.
Yep.
All right, Hotep and Bill.
Hotep and Bill. Yep.
Damn, I didn't expect Insight of the Ages to go full Elon simp on me, man. Damn. I don't know why y'all so in love with this guy and want to defend him. I really don't. There's nothing to me that says he's for the people. You know, you say he's free speech, but Ye ain't on a platform and Alex Jones ain't on a platform. But he wants to promote free speech. I don't know how y'all come to these conclusions. He provided Starlink around the world, including the Ukraine war. I just dad diamond mine.
Call
like,
from.
Not us. Yo, what up, man?
Yo. Did you? First off, about this Elon stuff, you know, we have to remember, I would say he's a patsy, right? He's a patsy. He's a scapegoat. He's not responsible for any of this. They have us looking at Neuralink while they are actually have a patent for technology that crosses the blood-brain barrier already. So why would you do the implants, right? So that's just one thing. But I sent you on Twitter. Did you see the thing at Berkshire Hathaway this week?
Nah, what happened?
Someone stood up and made a big stink. You should open it up on your Twitters, but basically this guy stood up, made a big stink, and called out Bill Gates for being on the island.
Okay.
And then he got arrested. And he's like the national chair for it's like National Law Policy Center or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, why are you sending money to Bill Gates who's well flying around all the world with Epstein?
Mm. Yeah.
And as far as the Canada stuff that you're going on earlier, well, man, they're already sold, and everyone here is already burnt out. You know, and we've had what it's called Aeroplan. So they've had that up here, and literally all your banks and all your purchases, everything is on Aeroplan anyway. So they're already into the program.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm struggling with my breathing today, so I get kind of short. You know, I have lung disease as well. So.
Yeah. I wish you wealth. I wish you health. I wish you good health, man. And appreciate the calling.
No, I look good for 45. I'm good, you know.
I bet you do. I know you do.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, man. Bill.
Call from.
Okay.
Kay, what up? You on the line with Hotep Jesus? What's up, love?
Hey, what's up? How are you doing?
I'm good. Good. How are you?
Okay. First off, I gotta say it. You guys, if you want 10% off Master Focus with everything that's going on, make sure to use the code 10OFF. Get your mind right, get your mind clear, and get it ready for what's about to come.
I love it. But I got to add something onto that. I actually created a new coupon code exclusively for the Griff Report. And if you use the link in the description box below, you get 30% off. Now, the membership is 20% off a single bottle. But with the 30% off, you're basically getting half off a single bottle. So if you use the link in the description box, you can get Master Focus, get your mind right. With 30% off, the coupon code will be automatically applied. Just hit the link in the description box, and I appreciate you for the promo.
Sounds fantastic. So I just wanted to kind of the tactics that a lot of the news companies use, like Fox, CNN, MSNBC, and all that stuff. If you look at it, there's like certain things to program people when you're talking. Like I said in chat, it's all about tone and it's about pitch. So step one, there's an alertness reduction, and it kind of causes the controllers of the nervous system to malfunction, making it difficult to distinguish between fantasy and reality. They also do is program confusion. So you're basically mentally assaulted while your alertness is being reduced in like the alertness reduction. Mm-hmm. And then step three is thought stopping. So techniques that are used to cause the mind to go flat. And in these altered state of minds, it's easy for a person to hear somebody's voice and kind of be soothed by their voice and also take what they're saying. So basically what they do is they will use tone, and they will talk at a lower level, and they will talk very slowly. So if I wanted to say something to you, I can continue to talk like this. And then, of course, you're going to have people that will talk to kind of wake you up and all that stuff, but then you're kind of lulled back into that state of mind. And this goes with everything that is going on now, because it's not just the tone, it's also the chemicals that are altering our bodies. It's also everything else that's, you know, causing our minds confusion and everything like that. But honestly, you know, I'm so tired of the left and right paradigm. And I'm sorry, none of them are for the people. They're for themselves. That's why when the laws are written, thank you. That's why when the laws are written, the politicians are exempt from these laws so they can make money from them, but they don't have to follow them themselves. So everybody pay attention to that, and that's why they always tell you, oh, you know what, don't go third party, you only go left or right. You know what, if so many people start breaking away from the left and right paradigm, guess what would happen? Those politicians of yours would lose money.
Facts.
Because it's all about the programming. Thank you. It's all about the programming. It's all about the dividing and conquering. And it's like they are trying to tell you a history that's not even your history. They're trying to say to people, oh, because you have a certain amount of melanin in your skin, you are connected to this race or that race, not knowing your true history. So people are being blocked who they really are. And it's crazy because, you know, there's just, you know, black, white, Mexican, Asian. It's a variety, and people think, you know, one of the states I went to, because I had, you know, because I was a little bit tan, they were like, oh, well, you're associated with this race. And I asked them, I was like, have you been outside the country? They were like, no. I said, then, honey, your opinion does not matter unless you have traveled outside of the country.
Bars.
So, yeah, I'm going to, every time I call in, I'm going to continue to just give out facts, and I hope people start, you know, continuing to listen, continuing to educate yourself. And like I have said in chat, if I see people that, you know, even yesterday where I see people in chat, well, this, and this, it's like, call in. Oh, I could debate, you know, I can debate Hotep, Jesus, and all that stuff. Good, let's hear you. Let's hear you call in. You know, there could be education on both sides, but it's like some people they don't want to do it because they can't or they're afraid.
They don't want no sauce with the boss.
You know, and it's just like you need to put your insecurities aside. Hey, and if you're not right, you're not right. I'd rather be educated on something that I do not know instead of assuming somebody has told me all of my life, which is wrong. History books. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, you on point, yo. I appreciate that call. You absolutely on point, man.
Yes, well, I'm going to let everybody else go ahead and call in, and please make sure you guys call in. Hotep and Build.
Hotep and Build. It's K on the check-in. Got some based callers over here, some Hotep callers. Who wanted to call in that wanted to debate me? Was this yesterday or recently? P-Dubs. Oh, another call. Hold on.
Call from.
Not a slave.
Uh-oh, not a slave on the line. What up, bro? Talk to me, man.
So I just wanted to touch on this slave thing because, man, that narrative has crippled the success and the lives of so many young black men and women throughout their, you know, through generations. You know, myself, when I was living with my mother in the military base, I moved, left my dad to go with my mom, live on the military base for a while. And every day I would leave the house, she would say, remember, you're old enough to be charged, and remember, they'll judge you by how you look. Now, in retrospect, I've talked to her about it, and she told me, during that time, she just wanted me to be okay. She didn't want anything else but that. So I don't fault her for that. But it is the narrative itself of being a victim, a slave, being lesser than, being singled out because of these things. It's that narrative that allowed for me to perpetuate the cycle of violence, for me to end up in prison, all of these things. I went out and I didn't have a concept of what a black man was. I was just like, oh, we're descendants of slaves and potentially or mostly criminal. That was it. That's all you get. So, destroying that narrative, breaking that down, helps black people find an actual knowledge of self. Because, like, when my daughter grows up, I don't want to tell her, oh, yeah, we were slaves. That's it.
Right.
What's the point of that?
Right.
What kind of greatness can she pursue if that's the first step? That's always the first step with us, and it breaks my heart. And it breaks my heart when they come at us for talking about this narrative too. I used to debate Moors a lot back when I was actually a Moor in the temple, and I left the temple because of things like this, because of the perpetuation of that victim mentality. I can't do that, especially because some of the Moors was probably owning them slaves out here. But, but it's just that, like, that narrative, it has to die. It has to die, and it's only going to die with us teaching our children.
Well, I want to touch on two things you said. They're both related, but the fear of police. So, of course, many of us are raised with that fear, right? They say, hey, the justice system's not going to treat you as fairly as a white man, et cetera, et cetera. And there is some truth to that, right?
Exactly.
However, I remember walking into courtrooms, and because I had an attorney, the white man was getting a ticket. I was walking out of there scot-free. So in that conversation, you also have to say, class plays a role in this. We also saw that with OJ, okay? Class plays a role in it. So what we really need to say is, hey, if you broke, you're going to have a problem in the justice system. But if you got money, you won't have to worry about the justice system, which is the real thing that we need to teach our children. Secondly, on that same point, before I get to my next point about police fear, is metaphysically, you could... And I saw this happen with Sandra Bland, right? And I made my video. I said Black Lives Matter killed Sandra Bland, right? And I didn't mean it literally, but I mean it figuratively, basically saying when you put all of these ideas in people's heads about how dangerous police are, and all these images running of people getting shot and beat by police, when they're around police, they start acting nervous and erratic and irrational. And therefore, you start to have a problem with the police when you wouldn't have had none, because Sandra Bland was about to go home with a warning, and she turned up and then ended up in a situation that she ended up in. So I think it's very important to teach our children about, what's the right thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do, just morally, basically, in society, and not instill that fear in them about police, because they could actually manifest problems. Now, the second thing I want to mention is basically a play on what we just said is sometimes we're also taught as black people, like, hey, because you're black, you got to work twice as hard as the white man. And that's a detrimental thing you don't want to teach your children. What you need to teach your children is, hey, if you're smart, you can work less than other people and make more money than them regardless of race. This is what we need to teach our children, and not that, hey, you black, life is hard, because then you start putting that stuff in their subconscious mind.
That's right. That's right. And to speak on the police thing, if it wasn't for Hotep, I would not have been able to make the friendships in my life that I've made.
Really?
And one of the friendships that I've made is so I have a gym bro. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got some gym bros. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. One of these guys, we would always talk. We're always talking, always just shooting the shit. And then one day we talked about my tattoos, and so naturally that is a segue to, well, I was incarcerated, because where else am I? You know, I don't lie to people. So if you ask, you're going to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell this guy, oh, well, you know, I got him while I was incarcerated back, you know, when I was a wild child. And he goes, that's so crazy. I'm a retired police officer. And so I went home that day and I thought about our interactions up until that point, and the fact that because we didn't start our conversation with race, because he wasn't wearing, you know, or because, you know, my idea of the uniform was no longer the way it was, all of these things, we were able to forge a friendship before we even knew that we were, quote unquote, diametrically opposed. You know, others would say we're diametrically opposed. I would say we were more alike. You know, we exercised because of our trauma from, you know, him from being an officer, me from prison. We had a lot in common. And I encounter this with a lot of people. You know, I lived in Florida when I was working, you know, in mansions down there. Most people, they would approach me and want to talk about race because they thought that's how I wanted to talk. But that's not how I wanted to talk. I connect with an individual first before their profession, before their past, any of that. It's who you are in this very moment that matters to me. You could have been a horrible person and become someone different. You know, I got locked up for robbing a college student, hitting him in the face with a weapon. You know, who I was and who I am are completely different. And you know, Hotep essentially drew the darkest line in between former me and newer me. And so when you talk about how we interact with the police, or when you talk about these narratives that need to be dismantled, I continuously go back to things like that, to my interactions with others.
Let me ask you this. How did Hotep help you make that transition? Because I want to know what that is so we can double down on that for others.
Hotep made what it did for me. One is, you know, you learn to meet somebody where they are. Most of the time, a lot of the time, we try to meet people, or not us, but most people, they try to meet others where they themselves are. So, you know, if you're a super pro-black, you try to, you meet a person based on that, right? Based on that, instead of I'm human, you're human.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about the philosophy of interaction. You know, I can see those on the other side of the aisle. A good example, when the protests happened, a lot of Trump supporters would come out and try to debate us, and people were canceling them. But I and a few others would actively debate these guys. And one of the things that they would realize in conversation is that we're mostly alike. We're mostly alike.
Yeah.
And this is Hotep right here. When you come into Hotep, you come into your understanding self, not your judging self. You stop judging others. And that's how you actually learn. You can't be a student if you've already, you know, determined, you know, the premise and everything. You know, you're grading a paper before you even look at the material. And that's the problem. That's why Hotep dismantles that.
That's powerful, bro. That's absolutely powerful, bro. I appreciate that feedback, man.
Yes.
I love that.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. It was a good show. Hotep and Bill.
Hotep and Bill, bro.
Yeah.
Strong Dad Protocol on the check-in. Powerful call. I love when he calls, and we always have good talks. That's one of my bros. Somebody in the chat had a question or something. What happened? I missed that. P-Dub Design said, must watch Vivek and Lindsay Art of the Culture War interview from 1 month ago. Lays out update to rules for radical and operational strategies of the left that right completely misses as led to slaughter. Interesting. Okay, we gotta check that out, man. Vivek and Lindsay Art of the Culture War. Let me bookmark that. Hold on. Let's put that here. I got like a sources tab, and when I get a chance, I'll check that out. I got Jesse Kelly sent me an advanced copy of his book, Anti-Communist. So we'll be I'll show you guys that in just a second. Hold on, let me see. Let's go here. Go here. Yo, you on the line with Hotep Jesus? What up, man?
What's good, bro?
What's good? What's good? Talk to me, man. What's on your mind?
Chilling, man. Figured I'd spice shit up with a take, man.
Uh-oh.
Me and my boy been saying this shit for a couple years, bro. Either Elon Musk is the Antichrist or Jesus. And you can't really say which one he is yet. You can't really say which one he is yet because time's going to tell. But, like, the new wave of technology that's coming, bro, it's not Elon's fault. The whole chip in the brain and the shit, you can't stop the march of technology. I mean, you can. The Roman and the Chinese Empire did it, which I think is one of the most intelligent things ever. People don't talk about enough. But as far as Western culture, we are completely convinced that more technology equals better life.
Right.
Which has been known not to be the case in other cultures. The Native Americans called it the Wetiko spirit, the spirit to just cancerously grow. I don't know if you've seen the Japanese anime, the Akira, but that whole movie is about that, the endless growth of technology. But my main point is it's not really Elon's fault. That's going to happen regardless. I think we should be, I don't want to say appreciative like we owe the nigga something, but like at least the dude at the forefront of the technology obviously has at least an understanding of our point of view. Because Klaus Schwab and them, they don't, bro, they look at us like insects. You know what I'm saying?
But could he be controlled opposition?
Nah, I feel like that's a weak cop-out take, bro. You can't control somebody unless you have something they want.
So you're completely dismissing the idea that Elon could be controlled opposition?
Completely dismissing it. I feel like that's a weak conversation-killing, just crackpot. You know what I mean? Not saying that controlled opposition doesn't exist and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But unless you've got somebody tied up somewhere, you can't control Elon. Control what? They already said he sexually assaulted somebody. He's got all the money in the world. He just lost $20 billion on purpose buying Twitter. You can't control him.
Technically, he didn't lose 20 million. He gained 20 million. He earned 20 million with the purchase.
Whatever the nigga's doing, bro, he's wild.
You know, because what happens is when your business takes a loss, you get to write that off on your taxes. So it's not a loss; it's a gain.
Dope. That's dope. But I mean, the way Elon lives, he knows about. I mean, obviously, a person of his level of intelligence understands that this entire fiat currency system isn't as grace saving as everyone would have it to be. A billionaire is still just a man, and unless those billions are going to feed a standing army who will protect you in the event of violence or societal collapse, it's really just digits on a page. You know what I'm saying? It's the farmland and the means of production and shit. So I don't think Elon can be controlled, bro. I just think at the end of the day,
what if he's on their side? Just happen to be an agent for the right. What if he's establishment?
You mean for the left?
No, for the right. Well, the establishment is not left or right. The establishment is the establishment, and they manipulate us through left and right. So he could be the agent for the right to manipulate the right.
I feel like the establishment is the left, and don't get me wrong, there is an establishment right, but I think the true spirit of the right is the masculine spirit, and I think the masculine spirit is righteous. The spirit that says, I will reap what I sow. I will only eat what I kill, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's the spirit of the right. So I truly think the spirit of the right wing is righteous. But I do agree that it can be co-opted by race baiting topics and fucking.
Why Elon ain't bring Ye or Alex Jones back to the platform if he's for free speech?
Hey man, levels to this shit, man. You gotta understand the boys. They seem to be, they got the Mario star, bro. You can't really fuck with them. And I mean, once you come out,
Alex Jones
is a corrosive acid to the normie mind. It's not necessarily what Alex Jones has said or what he will say. It's what people have been convinced to think Alex Jones is. And it's selfish of Elon, but I don't think he's afraid. I think he's keeping him off for selfish reasons because it's a toxic headline for normies to read.
Okay.
And Alex Jones got his own shit, bro. He's good. Like what would that do for Alex Jones that Elon needs to jump out the window, sacrificing the face of his website to do that for? Like, Alex Jones is good. Alex Jones is still in the streets, putting his message out there.
Okay. I mean, he said he's a purveyor of free speech, but, you know, Alex Jones is taking it too far. So how free is free?
See, free speech is a cultural thing, and you can't have cultural pillars like free speech. Don't get me wrong, you can. I believe in free speech. I don't want to miscommunicate. But what I'm saying is, when free speech was written down on paper,
I'm talking about a private corporation not allowing Alex Jones back, not allowing Ye back.
No, I'm hip. I understand that.
I'm not talking about the Constitution. I'm talking about the fact that people are saying Elon is the purveyor of free speech on a private corporation platform, but Alex Jones is cutting it too far. Kanye is too far. That's not free speech. We ain't talking about
the constitutional. If we're not talking about the constitutional definition of free speech, then what standard are we holding Elon to? I mean, if we're not holding to the standard
free
of the
speech.
Constitution,
Well, why do we have to talk about the Constitution when we're talking about free speech on the platform?
Because free speech is a constitutional idea. That's
but it doesn't cover. But it doesn't cover, you know, how platforms want to manage their platform.
But it wasn't invented for that.
Yes, it was.
In what
Janice
way?
Rogers Brown, 9th District D.C. judge, actually ruled and said you can say whatever you want and limit any speech you want as an employer.
So how does that mean? If that's your point of view, how do you think Elon's doing something wrong?
I'm not saying he's doing something wrong. What I'm saying is it's contradictory to free speech. I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying if you're saying you're for free speech, then Alex Jones and Ye should be on the platform.
I don't want to lose the plot. I don't want to lose the plot because I do understand what you're saying. But I thought a similar thing in the NFL because I used to be in the military during the Kaepernick situation. And we was debating about Kaepernick and whatnot. And, of course, the white dudes were saying, oh, how dare he? And the black dudes were saying, you don't see the point and blah, blah, blah. And they would ask me whose side I was on. And I would be like, bro, you got to understand the NFL is running a business. Like, if I'm the commissioner of the NFL, I don't really care necessarily of what Kaepernick's really talking about. My priority is the business. Whether I agree, disagree, think it's free speech, not free speech. And I just think that's the position.
But the NFL never took a stance on that.
Exactly, which I think was the perfect move.
Exactly. It's just that he was a terrible quarterback. He waited until he was on the bench to become an activist to try and save himself from some career, probably because of what his lady was telling him what to do. He didn't care about being an activist when he was a starting quarterback. It wasn't until his career was on a decline and the team didn't even drop him. He turned down the contract they offered him.
True. And to be clear, I do think he should bring Alex Jones back. Alex Jones has never said anything that crazy. As a matter of fact, I'm a huge Alex Jones fan. So not to be misconstrued, I think he should bring Alex Jones back. But to make that the hill upon which you decide whether or not you fuck with Elon Musk, I think is massively oversimplifying the situation for him and for us.
Well, I just want to say it's a bit hypocritical for you to say on one side, you're protecting Elon, his decisions, but on the other side, you agree with how the NFL handled it. It's got to be a hands-off situation. So it's like, which one isn't?
But you just said that the NFL didn't make a statement. They were hands-off.
Right. And you said you agreed with that.
Right,
but Elon's not hands off. But Elon's not hands off when it comes to Ye and Alex. He's hands on.
Yes, he was. Alex Jones was banned before Elon Musk bought Twitter. The neutral position in this, the doing nothing.
And he said, and Elon specifically said he's not bringing Alex back.
He didn't ban him, making the neutral position, doing nothing, leaving Alex Jones where he was.
I gotta let you go now. You bugging now. I gotta let you go, bro. That's not a neutral position. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't say that's a neutral position. You can't say Elon came back and Elon goes, hey, everybody that's suspended, we're bringing you back. And you see all these people come back and he goes, but not him. That's not a hands-off position if you say no to bringing somebody back. I need my callers to do better. I like you, bro. You're a good guy. I think you're very intelligent, but I gotta file you one of the Elon nut huggers, man. You an Elon nut hugger, man. No disrespect to you, but you know it just sounds like an Elon nut hugger.
Call from
Steph Colonel.
Steph, what up, man? Talk to me, bro.
Yo.
What's up, bro?
Hey, see, I think you know what I'm thinking. I think some people are defending Elon because not necessarily because of Elon, because I think they're just addicted to social media in general. They have an addiction that they can't that they won't be able to shake. I think a lot of people are kind of just infatuated with the idea, you know, that Elon bought out Twitter and you know that he quote kicked all the liberal influence off the platform, even though technically the feds are still on Twitter confirmed. He never closed the portal.
Right.
People have to remember that.
Right.
The government portal is never closed. So the government is in Twitter, and now you have WEF influence in Twitter. So now, if you're claiming that you are against the WEF and you're against the agenda, that you want to defend Elon Musk, he's aligning himself with it. He's aligning himself with it.
Mm-hmm.
He's aligning himself with it in one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this scene repeats itself all the time, right? You have even with Zuckerberg and Facebook. With the Zuckerberg and Facebook came out. Everybody goes on Facebook. They put their life on there. They put their businesses and stuff on there. Everybody is they put so much shit on there that they can't live without it. And then all of a sudden now, when Facebook wants to restrict your movement because they don't align with your beliefs, oh well, I'm not going to get off of it. I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to complain about keep complaining. Well, you allowed it to happen. You gave them your content, you gave them your influence, you propped them up to be what they are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, until people realize that the same theme just keeps playing over and over again, they're just going to keep getting duped all the time. That's why you can't put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to these people. When it comes to these types of scenarios, type of situations, because just because somebody says something that you just happen to agree with, or just because they talk down to somebody you like, doesn't mean that they're going to be all the way for you.
Right. People
really need to start understanding this. But I think it's a deeper issue why people want to defend Elon. I think, honestly, I think it's something to do with addiction. I think it's clearly addiction that they can't go without shit. They can't go without it.
Mm-hmm. 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 I agree.
You know. Hey, also, I wanted to touch on the quote, the high value man situation that you was talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
You know how you can tell if you're a high value man or not? And this crazy part, because it's kind of ironic, because you won't be able to tell. You can tell if you're a high value man by the amount of people that will warn you when you die.
Okay? I like that. I like that.
How many people
gonna show up at your funeral?
How many people are gonna show up at your funeral? How long are people going to talk about you after you die? What impact are people going to say about you when you're gone? That's how you could tell if you're a quote high value man or not.
Right.
Even though you won't be able to, but
you
know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. Hey, I appreciate the call, man.
Hey, you got it, man. Hotep and Bill, bro.
Hotep and Bill. High value man, we're going to judge you by how many people show up at your funeral. That's powerful. I broke down crying at my grandma's funeral because of how many people showed up. You know what I'm saying? Angelina Hoffman said Alex wasn't even banned for his Sandy Hook remarks. That's a fact. The platform got rid of him around the same time they got rid of Farrakhan. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know about y'all.
Call from
AK Kamara.
Yo, what's up, man? Talk to me. You on the line with Hotep Jesus?
Hey, what up, Hotep? Just wanted to call real quick. Man, when you talked about and you showed that story about the Clinton slave, that blew my mind, man. Like, I never even heard about that story, and like I stay plugged into politics pretty good, you know. That just blew my mind, man. And I just wanted to say, like, I read that whole article, and you know that's crazy. Now, when it comes to the Hotep, I'll be honest, man. Like, I don't really know that much. I saw you on a Tim Pool episode, and I started following you, and that's how, like, I've been hearing about you or whatever, and I'm trying to enlighten myself, learn more about this, and so I've appreciated everything you've done. But I wanted to ask a question about Elon's, like, perspective, right? Like, Voltaire said, "Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good," right?
Yeah.
And I think that, like, for all the faults that Elon has, which he has a lot because he's a human, I think he was raised really fucked up. He's got some messed up beliefs. But the one thing, like, that I care about the most is when he talks about humanity, he doesn't view humans as a virus that need to be, like, pushed down and eradicated. So I just tend to be more on the side that Elon believes in some type of human flourishment, even if he has, like, some weird demonic perspectives on certain things, like integrating human with AI. I think is a terrible feature. You'll have to put a bullet in me. If the choice is, like, put a chip in my brain, I'd rather go and be in heaven. But I still think that, like, that perspective that he doesn't view humans as a virus, like Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and all of these other cats, they view humans to be, like, controlled and suppressed. And it seems like he continually talks about that flourishment. So I think that's a good thing. But the jury's still out, man. He could be controlled out. Like, he could be lulling conservatives and people that are against the establishment into this false sense of security. You get the chip in your brain, and then all of a sudden, it's like he pulled out the mask, and it's Klaus Schwab. Not literally, but it could be that. So we have to be discerning. And I want to know, like, your idea on that, like, human flourishment aspect that Elon has talked about, you know, for a while.
Yeah, I really don't. To be honest with you, I don't really listen to Elon and his rhetoric. He's just, I don't know. I don't find him that fascinating. You know, I like Naval Ravikant. I forget his last name, but Naval, I think, is one of the people that I like listening to. I think he's one of those super geniuses. But Elon, I've listened to him on Rogan, and I used to find him fascinating. But the more I get older, the less people actually impress me. And I just feel like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And Tesla, Starlink, Neuralink, all these things are going to outlive Elon. So it's not really about Elon. It's about he's creating the technology of the future that's going to be, what's the thing from Terminator? The system in Terminator. Skynet. He's building Skynet, right? Like, you know, electronic cars that are controlled remotely, and there's data going to the mothership at all times, plus Starlink. And then he says he wants Twitter to be the everything app. And that's WeChat. That's China. China has an everything app. And it's just like, you know, especially when you're in the crypto community, you always talk about decentralization. And now he wants everything, bills to be paid, everything all on one app. And I'm like, oh, that's centralization. I'm like, okay, I got what's going on here. So even if he doesn't have nefarious intentions, these technologies are going to outlive him and can be used for bad.
I agree 100% that that's how it could all turn out. But I also still think that if there is a potential that these are tools that could be used in the fight against, let's say, a storm that's coming, that Elon could turn out to be the person that allowed the tools to exist versus nobody, I guess, fighting for this push against basically eradicating and controlling humanity. And that's the only little thing that makes me, like, pause a little bit.
I won't discount that. I think that is a possibility. It's just that if I'm sitting at the Vegas gambling table, I'm putting my chips on. I'm not trusting Elon.
I feel that. Hey, I wanted to ask you about Hotep Con.
Yeah.
Because I was looking on the website and all that stuff. With the VIP package, right now, you got a special going on or something like that? Like you can,
Yeah,
you can get like
10% off. Yeah, use coupon code Hotep Jesus. You get 10% off.
All right, man. Hey, Hotep and Bill, I got to get back to this grind delivering these parts, but appreciate taking the time to chat with me, bro.
All right, good call, man. Thank you, man. Hotep and Bill. Ugh. You know, when we talk about critical thinking, you have to be open-minded, right? So when I say to somebody, do you think it's possible that Elon is controlled opposition? And they say, hey, you know, it's a basic bitch take. Okay, yeah, it might not take much thinking to come to that conclusion, but how much thinking is happening when you say that's not possible? So you have in one aspect, you have in one mind, you have Elon is not controlled opposition, or he could be controlled opposition, right? So that's that one mind that holds both of these concepts. Then you have another mind which goes, no, Elon's not controlled opposition. No way, no how. Which one has a more holistic view? Which one has more opportunity for critical thinking? The proof is in the math.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Oh, next caller. Hold up.
Call from.
Live from the side.
Yeah, you want to live with Hotep Jesus? Talk to me, man.
What's up? It's me again.
What's up, yo?
So I wasn't saying that it wasn't possible.
No, that's what you said.
That's not what I said.
What'd you say?
I feel like it's sour, and I got another take anyway. I'm gonna be quick.
No, what'd you say? Tell me what you said.
About the Elon take?
Yeah, when I said he's controlled opposition, I said, are you completely going to discount that? And you said yes.
That's not something I would have said. I don't think I said it, but luckily it's recorded. But we can go back.
We can go back.
I will go back. I will go back because I do want to know, bro. I can't. Come on, son. I can't remember what I said word for word 15 minutes ago. But what I will say,
you need some master focus. That's the problem. You need some master focus.
That's how we
hit the link in the description box below and get you some master focus, and your memory will start working. Nah, go ahead. I'm just fucking with you.
That's how we got to start talking about how nobody has anything he wants. Nobody's got his daughter tied up. That's how that whole conversation. Not that controlled opposition isn't possible. It's very real. It's happened many times before. But what could you have on the richest man on earth? That's how we started talking about, oh, he didn't lose 20 bill. He made 20 bill because. So, I've always said that it's very possible. I'm not closed-minded enough to think that motherfuckers can't play two sides of the coin just like they did in every major world war. I'm just saying, with the richest man to ever live, you're going to have to tell me how that's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I wouldn't in this scenario say, yes, somebody has something so bad on Elon Musk that it dictates his every move.
Well, I didn't say dictates his every move. That's being a bit specific.
Influences the biggest.
You know, and what I'm saying is, if you're going to be a critical thinker, you know, don't put it on me to figure out how he could be controlled ops. Make that your homework, and you sit down and you figure out how he could be controlled ops. I don't want to do the thinking. I don't want to do the thinking on that. I don't even want to apply any brain power to this subject matter, mostly because it's not worth my time, right? But if I were to sit down and think about the matter, I'd look at both sides and I'd have a list of things that say, here's why he's not controlled opposition and here's why he is controlled opposition. I would look at both sides. But if somebody says, I'm going to completely discount one side or the other, then I go, that's not critical thinking. And Constable made a point that I was going to bring up, but I don't even want to bring it up. Like when you said he's the richest man on earth, like that's like according to Forbes, but I didn't want to bring that up. But Constable's right. Like you don't know the richest people on earth. They don't make those lists. Okay. So he's the richest person on earth. Okay. All right. Just make sure you know that. All right. So what was your point?
I want to get off it, but when your man brought up the high value thing, I've been hearing this shit all week because I listen to Rolo, and I know you listen to Rolo, and I seen Rolo wearing a Hotep hat.
Yeah, that's my boy.
So when I saw this shit, for one, you want to talk about somebody being controlled op, bro. Rolo's not the type of nigga to tell you to get a vasectomy in your 20s, bro.
Wait,
that's a different conversation for a different time.
Wait, what? He's not the person?
No, bro. I listen to Rolo, bro. He is married with a child. He appreciates his family.
Yes, correct. Yes.
He's not the type of dude, I promise you. I listen to a lot of Rolo, bro. He's not the nigga to tell you cut your balls off, bro.
Right.
She would not say that, bro.
Right.
And that to me was the strangest part of the whole story. But a high value man is a man in the top 20 percentile of the population of men.
Financially?
You would have to be a woman to fully lay out the criteria, but yes, in the ways that men can understand how women process attractiveness, yes, finances would be a huge part of it, but it would also be a combination of physicality, a combination of personality. You would have to be a woman to truly articulate the currency that, you know, we gain in the woman's world by doing the things we do. But you know what it is. Whether you can say it word for word or write it out list for list, we all know what it is. We know when a man is on his shit and we know when he's not. If you're not in the top 20% of that male population, you're not doing it.
Okay, that's not a bad take. You know, like Rolo said, right? It's completely subjective, and I think it would make sense for women to decide what is, or some women to decide what a high value man is. I think women's opinion does matter.
True, yeah, but at the same time, I feel like our benefit as men is that we can kind of analyze the entire paradigm of what women need, what they like, what they think they like, and then really like, because I feel like if it was really up to women, it would be a different type of dude up top. But the type of dudes that succeed in this world, they go past even what women think they want, the basicness of, get money, dress nice, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Elon thing.
For sure.
Because I actually started applying brain power to the thing, right? So you said that it can't be controlled opposition because they have nothing on them, right?
Yes. To keep it short, yes.
Okay. But he bought Twitter.
Correct.
And Twitter's powerful.
Correct.
So now they have something on him.
They would have to take Twitter from him. And even if they took Twitter from him, they couldn't do that without breaking the rules of their own game. They didn't even want to sell it to him. That's how good he is at their game. They didn't even want to sell him Twitter by the time he ended up buying.
So why'd he sell it to him?
Because he can play the game. And that's what I'm trying to say is that maybe we should take a little bit of stock in that. Okay, is this nigga perfect? No. Could you be perfect? We don't understand a single level of that level of communication and the emails and the comments. What he can't do. What you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think we should take a little stock and be like, okay, if it was somebody else at the top of this pyramid, who would we want it to be? And I don't think anybody's better other than Elon. And like I said, the chips are coming, bro. Because what China's going to do it to their citizenry and have their entire citizenry working at the pace of fucking 20 people, and we're not going to do it. That China would just take us over. It's not really an option. So
Tyler Durden said, how about that DARPA money? How about that SpaceX money? How about the subsidies to Tesla?
I don't want to do this thing where somebody brings up a piece of data that I haven't looked over and automatically it seems as if I'm completely unfounded in my entire argument. So I don't know anything about any of that, but just speaking on the basis of principle, the technology is coming. It is coming. And thankfully...
Well, we're talking about him being controlled ops, right? We're not worried about the technology right now. We're talking about control ops. You know, when we look at the Twitter acquisition and you mentioned, you know, what they have on him, I think once you get to a certain point, it's your life that they have on the line. And they can take that anytime they want, you know, as long as you're not playing by the rules. And I think that's what he's fearful of. For example, did he close the back door to the government at Twitter?
My fault. I thought that was rhetorical. I don't think he did.
You don't think he did, right? So why not?
I don't have the slightest idea of what goes into complexities of that. Neither do you. We can't really say.
Because he can't. If I bought Twitter tomorrow, right? If I bought Twitter tomorrow and the government had a back door to Twitter, I wouldn't touch the shit. I wouldn't touch it. Because I know the consequences that come along with that when you go against these agencies. In a way, I'm being controlled. When I come to YouTube and I censor myself, in a way, I'm being controlled.
So do you believe, what percentage out of 100 do you believe that a person will be killed if they cross the interest of the Central Intelligence Agency?
Well, nowadays it doesn't have to be death.
Or
you know,
whatever
it could be.
intelligence
It could just be, you know, defamed. You know, they did that with Trump. If you want a clear example, it was Trump. They show you what you do when you go against the protocol. Look at Trump. You be tied up. You be tied up in court for years.
Trump is fine. Trump is the most popular person on the planet, about to be the president.
But I just answered your question. You just, and this is why I had to hang up on you before, because you don't be staying on point.
Which was rude, bro. Which was rude. I wasn't gonna bring it up. That was rude, bro. Come on, I'm a big.
It's not rude. This is my channel. I get to make the rules.
But I wasn't disrespecting you, bro. To hang up on me is why. You can admit that.
Nah, I won't. I can do that on my channel. That's part of being a content creator, is being able to make up the rules as you go along.
Bro, we was having a discussion. We disagreed.
No, you just were annoying.
You hadn't mentioned that before you hung up on me.
I wouldn't explain that. I would just hang up on you. Like, yo, I can't do it anymore, right? Like, for example, you just asked me a question, right? Then I answered it, and then you said, but Trump is fine. And it's just like, but that doesn't have anything to do with the question you said.
That does, because you answering that was saying that they can defame him, which implies a consequence. And me saying Trump is fine implies that consequence is not relevant. It's a non-factor. The reason you're giving is a non-factor.
It's a non-factor that he's got to give up $5 million.
Yes,
it's a non-factor that he's been deplatformed. It's a non-factor that, you know, he went from being loved by the black community to being completely hated. It's a non-factor that he can't just walk anywhere like he used to because the media's completely defamed him. All of that is a non-factor. You think none of that affects him?
Trump's popularity has risen among blacks since 2016.
You said what?
Trump's popularity has risen amongst blacks since 2016.
Yeah, it has.
But you just said that black people hate him, and that was the consequence.
It is a consequence.
But you also just said that you agreed with me when I said his approving amongst blacks has drastically risen.
If we look at the poll numbers say it has risen. I think it went from like 8 to 12. But what is that? That means that 88% now say they don't like Trump. They're not voting for Trump. So how do you compare 88% to 12%? And say that 12% represents the majority? That doesn't make sense.
We weren't talking about a majority. We were talking about the trend. And the trend is that he's growing in favor amongst blacks.
But the majority still think
he's not going to win 51% of black people. That's never going to happen. But if 8 is greater than 12, therefore the trend is he's growing in popularity.
But the majority say what?
If you're waiting on the majority to change to be a factor in this, that was never going to happen. That's never going to happen with any Republican candidate.
So what does that tell you? The Republican Party has been defamed as well in the eyes of the public, no? Which is a serious consequence when you're talking about people who vote on policy, people who vote on who becomes a Supreme Court judge, and the Supreme Court decides how much freedom we have. These people also vote on who runs what committee, and those committees get to decide what policies are gone before the House and then the Senate. So if you defame an entire political party, you're dealing with our freedom. For example, when you talk about how Trump was defamed, Trump lost the last election and America paid for it. We literally, the price of food, inflation, gas prices, we paid for it out of our own pocket. So when you say it's like nothing happened, it's just like not only did Trump pay for it, we paid for it.
I won't broach the conversation about the validity of said political happening, but I think there's a certain level you reach in fame where you become infamous. There's no such thing as defamation when you get to a certain level.
There's no such thing as defamation when you reach a certain level?
Yeah, because you become so intrinsic in people's hearts. You represent so much of them that, bro, they're going to rock with you regardless. Tate is a good example. And I don't think Elon has the personality. And by the way, you call me an Elon. I don't give a fuck about Elon Musk. This isn't coming from any place of fanship or admiration of Elon Musk. I'm simply looking at the facts of the situation.
Well, the reason why I said that is because you said, and you told me you don't remember saying that, but you completely discounted the possibility of him being controlled ops.
I disagreed with it. I didn't discount it. I disagreed with it. I don't think that's the case. Is it impossible? No, I did not say that.
We got the tape, though.
In my purview, it's impossible.
We got the tape, bro. The chat even said it. The chat said it. They were like, yo, that was 15 minutes ago, and the whole chat remembers you saying that.
Bro, it's your show. Of course the chat said that. What do you mean? Come on. I'll look. I'll watch. I'll comment.
I don't want to hang up on you. I don't want to be rude. I just want to make sure you got everything off your chest. It's your show.
All right, bro.
I'm human. People annoy me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. If I come off rude, people, I'm sorry. But I'm human, and at a certain point, it's a Friday. I've had a long week. If you annoy me, I don't have to listen to you. That's my freedom. That's my freedom. I can just hang up on you. I don't have to listen to you. Rudy the Vet Russo says, shit, we would disagree with HJ when it's needed. No sheep here. This is true. I don't like how he dissed y'all and said, oh, they're just going to say it because it's your show. No, that's not true. The chat calls it straight. That's the beautiful thing about this show is our callers call shit straight, you know, and you know, I don't want anybody to have any ill feelings towards me because we didn't have a good interaction on the phone. You know, maybe, you know, we'll talk on another conversation and we'll have a better interaction. But, you know, this idea that every interaction you have with somebody has to be amiable. No, it don't. We can argue and call each other names and just shake hands later. Like,
Call from.
Sorry.
Yo, what up? You want to allow my Hotep Jesus? Talk to me, man.
Oh, shoot, my bad. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties here.
It's all good. I can hear you.
All right. So actually, I gotta say, I actually kind of like that last caller.
Okay. Tell me why.
I don't know if he had everything put together in his head right.
Yeah.
But I kind of like where his head was at.
I like where his head was at too.
Yeah, I was feeling some of the points he was trying to make, but it was like, you get into debate brain, because I wanted to call in yesterday. And when you were talking about Rollo and that high value man stuff.
Yeah.
The Destiny was in debate brain. I don't know if you know, that's who that guy at the blue hair was. Destiny. You probably heard him. We do a lot of internet debates. Yeah, I know it's a female name.
Mm.
Yeah, he picked
I
up.
like that. I like that term. I'm going to use that, debate brain. That's what the last caller was in. He was in debate brain, and that's
what they call it. Yeah,
and that's what annoys me, right? Like if you're going to call in and you want to have a conversation, and we want to challenge each other, let's do that. But don't have debate brain where when I say something, you have to immediately rebuttal it. Like, nah, let's have a conversation, you know? But you're right, he had debate brain. And like you said, his head is in the right direction. The brother's intelligent. He knows what he's talking about, but I think he got stuck in debate brain. You're right.
Yeah. And that's actually something I wanted to say about that thing with the Rollo thing too. I thought it was funny because you pointed out in his when he said it and when he was talking to them on the show, he said that was debate. And I even came up with a line after I thought in my head, destiny is in debate brain. Because what happens when you fall for a debate?
What?
You end up in debate brain.
Oh.
Debate brain always falls for debate.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
They fell for debate, hook, line, and sinker.
Hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what's funny is I'm able to detect that because I'm an individual who used to suffer from that like really bad, you know, like, and I was talking about to Strong Dad Protocol yesterday about that, how I came from, you know, that mindset where I had to debate and argue everything to now it's more like, I kind of just want to listen and just ask questions and see how people look at things, you know. But when people ask me questions and I answer them and then they say things like, you know, Trump can't be defamed, I'm like, it's kind of mind blowing. I don't even know how to process that. Like, I get what
I do kind of get what he was saying.
I get what he's saying. He's basically saying that Trump is so rich, you can't really affect him, right? Because he's a billionaire.
That's not even what I got from it.
What are you saying?
I got, there's a certain point where you become so infamous, or they didn't destroy your name and drug your name through the mud so much, it ain't really nothing else they could say about you. It ain't really no more that they could defame you. You know what I mean? Like, there is a point where you really hit like the rock bottom.
You've been defamed so much that they can't even kick no more dirt on your name.
I think that's literally where Trump is now. That's why he getting more support, because people realizing, look, man, they just keep lying.
And
they
he's
just
still
keep
here.
throwing stuff, and it's like, well, even if you already hate him, like, you already hate him, right? It's only somewhere. The only place you can go now is up.
Correct. That's a good point. I like that concept. Damn. Okay. But he's defamed though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's when they put you in the dirt, you know?
Yeah. And that's my point, right? Like, you know, if you're affected by the defame is one thing, but he's definitely defamed. And I think he is affected. I mean, it's a huge annoyance to be dragged into court and, you know, to be tied up in all of these hearings and whatnot, and, you know, having to make statements. Like, that stuff's annoying when you should just be worrying about, you know, your campaign race, you know? So I think it's a huge annoyance.
I feel like only somebody like him, though, like, it's only people with a certain demeanor, only certain types of people can handle that. The way you see how he just handle it with ease.
Yeah, he handles it really
like
well.
Fade.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, he handles it like a champ. You know, I'm learning so much from Trump. Absolutely.
I think that's why he get all that love. I think that's really where he get all the love from. People see him, like, you know, people like a soldier. Like, people like seeing somebody that don't back down.
Strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, he exhibits strength.
Like a real leader.
Yeah, like a real leader.
And that's why I think that a lot of people, you know, they talk about DeSantis. They doing this whole, you know, a lot of people still trying to talk about DeSantis. He ain't even got the balls to announce his run yet.
Yeah.
That you don't look like a strong leader when you're doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
That's my only take on Trump and DeSantis, I'd say, because, I mean, he ain't shown me nothing yet. He's still playing around.
Right.
You know, if you're going to run.
Right.
You know, say something. Get in the ring.
Right.
But the more you tiptoe around, he already been shown he a strong leader. Mm-hmm. At least he can show you that he has a strong demeanor. Right? He can handle people. He can handle other world leaders. We ain't seen that. You keep showing us you can't even handle him.
True.
So how you gonna beat him? I'm like,
yeah.
Talking about, he had a good record. I'm like, he got a good record in one state.
Yeah.
Like, what we comparing it to?
Yeah, he can't beat Trump. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate the call, man. Good talk.
All right, man. Hotep
and Bill. So yeah, he made sense of what the previous caller said, and like I said, you know, it's just a certain point where, like, I get annoyed, and I think it's debate brain, like what that guy said. Yeah, it's like when people are in debate brain, it's really frustrating because you're no longer having a conversation. You're just like, now I'm just talking to a brick wall, and it's just like, nah, like hear me out. Like I hear you out. I hear what you're saying. I hear me out. And then don't just like, you know, go into debate brain. Debate brain's really annoying because it's like nobody's winning from that. The viewers aren't winning. It doesn't make good content. And yeah. Anyway, Jabari Judah said, Elon, I know I had another caller calling. Go ahead, 202-596-5631. Jabari said, Elon is down with NASA. Should have been first clue. Uh-oh. P-Dub Designs, One Mushroom Pizza Night. This came to me. I run to meet you, not to beat you. I like that. I like that. I like that. Jabari Judah, y'all don't remember Elon's outfit from last year's Met Gala? He showed the world who he works for. Somebody tells you through their dress who they are. Yeah, didn't he dress up like Moloch or something like that? Yeah, absolutely wild. Hi, yellow fella. Where's the clown with the broom from the Apollo when you need him? Oh, come on, man. Savage. The internet is unforgiving. Unforgiving. Where is that caller that just called in? We missed your call. I'm gonna get you in here. We got a few more minutes here to take callers. 202-596-5631. Hold on. And but yeah, you know, dude talked about, you know, he said I was rude, and it was just like, well, yeah, what I did was rude, but the conversation you were having was rude. So I responded in kind, right? Like I didn't mean anything malicious by it, but I also hung up on you because it's just good content, you know? And me being the moderator, me having this channel, I have to control it. I have to control. You got to double dip, Rudy? Go ahead, double dip, man. I got to control the conversation.
Call from
Alex.
Alex, you want to line with Hotep Jesus? What up, man?
Oh, shit, I wasn't expecting you to answer. Hey, what's up, man?
What's good, Joe?
Hey, so I just want to start off by saying I'm actually kind of a big fan of yours. I'm not trying to glaze you, so I'll keep the compliments to a minimum.
I appreciate you.
But I did get the Patriot Report, and I got to say, you forever changed the way I look at the economy and kind of just money as a whole.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to give you your props on that.
Oh,
but
thanks.
what I wanted to call in about was what you were talking about earlier with slavery and black people owning slaves and all that.
Yeah.
My question was, I remember a few months ago, you were talking about how Harriet Tubman was a government spy, or let's not use the term spy, whatever you want to phrase it. But my question on that is, if that's true, what was her purpose then with the Underground Railroad if slavery wasn't really permanent, if you get what I'm saying?
Oh, I get what you're saying. So if, well, here's the thing. The North had a reason or a motive to want to eliminate slavery. And I think the motive was economic. The South had a huge economic advantage over the North because, you know, they didn't practice slavery in the North. You know, I don't want to get into the whole situation of, you know, Harriet Tubman working for a secret agency. We know that's true, right? We know that to be fact. But if she's playing for the North, then obviously she's going to do things to usurp or undermine the South. And part of that is going to be freeing slaves. Now we can come back to the whole idea of, did she do it because she was paid by the agency to do it? Or did she do it because she thought these people were, you know, having a tragic life? But we have to go back to her quote. What did she say about freeing the slaves? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
She said, well, I wasn't specific with my questioning, but she said, I would have freed more slaves if they knew they wasn't free. Right? Remember that quote? Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. I'm sure you remember that. Let's see. Harriet Tubman would have freed more. So I want to get the quote right just for oh wait, they said this is actually falsely attributed to her. But it says, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. False. Harriet Tubman did not say that she freed 1,000 slaves and would have freed more. The facts, the image on the circulating line about freeing slaves, Underground Railroad one is not authentic. Okay, so they're saying the quote's actually not authentic, right? But the concept of that quote, even though it shouldn't be tied to Harriet Tubman, sort of gives you an insight to show that not all slaves wanted to be quote unquote freed. And you got to look at some of the documentation of the freed slaves. You know, some of them was writing songs talking about how they missed the Dixie South and how much they hate the North, because, you know, you want to talk about how bad slavery was, but when some of those slaves got to the North, they started to realize that life was harder when you had to do for self.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? As opposed to when they were on the plantation, they got 3 hots in the cot, and not all slave. In fact, if you go look at some of the slave manuals, they talk about not beating your slaves. They said, yo, if you beat your slaves, you're going to get slaves that revolt. You know, you want to love your slave. This is what's in the slave manual. Treat them as if you're family and they'll be loyal, right? So the idea that, you know, slavery was this brutal institution is just partially false. It were some slave, and I think the slave masters that were practicing things like that were probably the less successful slave owners, the one that maybe had a handful of slaves that were more poor, less educated, right? Less sophisticated. But if you look at today, you know, slavery today is sophisticated, where just like that quote, people don't know that they're slaves and they don't want to be free. You know, they don't want the red pill. But today, slavery is very much sophisticated. So that's what we had back then. We had sophisticated form of slavery, which said, yo, don't beat the slave, because if you beat the slave, he's not going to be happy and he's not going to work hard. But if you treat him good, he's going to work hard. And if you really want a good book to look at that, you got to look at Uncle Tom's Cabin. You ever read Uncle Tom's Cabin?
Yeah, I actually read that in elementary. My school forced us to.
Do you remember the book?
Yeah, I remember vague parts of it.
What's the name of Mr. Well,
the slave owner?
Yeah, Uncle Tom's slave owner. You know, promised Uncle Tom freedom at a certain point, and Uncle Tom loved his master, and when he found out his master was going to sell him, that's when his heart was broken. His heart was broken. So the author of that book is painting a picture of slavery at that time. And when you go look at Mr. Shelby, that's who it was, Mr. Shelby. So Mr. Shelby, you know, he was mistreating his slaves, but Mr. Shelby was unsophisticated. And if you read the book, you can see how the author wrote it, where the benevolent slave owner had a sophisticated tongue, but the other slave owner who he sold Uncle Tom to, or had intention to sell Uncle Tom to, spoke like a slave. He spoke as if he was uneducated and came from lower stock, even how they describe how he dresses. So even the documentation that we read as children in Uncle Tom's Cabin paints a picture partly of what slavery was like, and not all slave owners were mean to their slaves.
Yeah, that makes sense. The left is, they're kind of following that playbook, kind of play for play. They incentivize you to vote for them just so you can keep kind of staying on the plantation and never leave because you don't want to, right?
Correct. And we saw that with Gavin Newsom the other day, when Gavin Newsom said he don't want to cut checks to Negroes. But what was the first thing he said? He said we want to get them the right to vote, voting rights. He just wants to stay in power. I want to get you Negroes enough power to keep me in power, but nothing more than that.
Right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then I have one more follow-up question.
Okay.
It's unrelated, though. So the Hotep movement, kind of just the stigma behind it now, since the movement's been co-opted, have you ever thought of, I know Hotep is kind of your way of life and everything, and I'm not saying change anything about you, but have you ever thought of using different terminology just to kind of get around because when you say the word Hotep now to the average black person, they're going to be like, oh, that's a bad thing, or they're going to think of the woke Koofy dude that is at all the rallies. Basically counterproductive, all this shit that's negative to black people, but they're advocating for it, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So we actually became Hotep because of the negative connotation, right? So when I was talking about some of the remedies for the black community, which was capitalism, they basically called me, a Hotep. They're like, oh, you're a Hotep, you're a Hotep. And this is 2014, 2015. So we adopted the name because of the negative connotation. And I remember one brother came to me and he said, yo, using the name Hotep is stupid because it's not marketable. Now, me being an expert marketer, because that's what I did for a living for 10 years or more, but I knew that names don't matter. That's one of the lessons I always teach my students in marketing. Names, for the most part, don't matter. You can have a really good name, but a lot of the times names don't matter, like Google. Like Google just rolls off the tongue real well, and there's some sort of syllable thing. I forget what they call it. The g and k and all of that. Coca-Cola. Yeah. So there's something that's happening with the alliteration, et cetera, with those names, but they don't really point to what the thing is, right? But no, we're talking about somebody who was told once upon a time that he was a Hotep. Hotep wasn't marketable, and we took it from that to Joe Rogan, the largest platform in the world. So I don't really care when I run across somebody and they say, oh, Hotep, oh, that's a bad thing. Well, fuck you, first of all, because you're just an ignorant ass and you don't even know where the term comes from. But the last thing I'm going to do is allow somebody to frame what this term means when it's a gracious and ancient term, and I'm not going to allow them to just turn it into a pejorative. The whole point in taking on the Hotep name was to combat that exact mind that you're talking about. So you, on one hand, you'll meet somebody and they'll go, yo, Hotep, I don't mess with Hoteps. And on the other hand, you'll have somebody who sees Hotep Jesus and go, yo, I fucks with Hotep Jesus. I fucks with the Hoteps. You see what I'm saying? Like yourself.
Yeah, I got you.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not worried about detractors. I'm worried about people who got their ears and eyes open, people who got their third eye open, people who have an open mind. I'm not here for all the minds. I'm just here for just a few. We only need 20%, 80-20 rule. You only need 20%. You do. If we get 20% of people, 80% follow.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So we don't need everybody.
Okay,
and the minds you're talking about, these minds that say, oh, Hotep is bad. Like, do they even read books? Do they study? Do they watch documentaries? What are they listening to? What's in their mind?
Yeah, isn't Hotep wasn't it an Egyptian word? Isn't that what it derives from?
Hotep. The glyph is going to be a straight line with a diamond on top of it, and what it means is, it could mean tomb. It could mean to be at rest. It could mean peace. It could be satisfaction. Shaka Akmos would say that it means to be satisfied or satisfaction. Okay. But usually we use the term to mean peace. Like, when somebody leaves the room, you say peace. Well, or you see somebody, you say peace, peace God, or say Hotep, right? So we say Hotep, and it's like a greeting or an exit.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have to step away here, but it was good talking to you. Oh, and by the way, my name is, just so you're not thrown off, in chat, my name is Ass Boys ENT, because that was a group that I had in middle school, and I just haven't changed it since then, so I feel like people think I'm trolling with that name.
Oh, no, it's all good. I appreciate you. Good call, yo.
All right, then. Good talking to you.
All right, Hotep and Bill. Think I give a damn about these people that's hating on Hotep? It's just power. When people hate on things, that means it has power. You want to tap into that. You don't want to just run from something. If there's a term that people are talking about and you can, attach yourself to that and grift, get your grift on. That term has power. And you see it because they use it in mainstream media as a pejorative. Why? Because they're trying to destroy consciousness. They're trying to destroy peace. And that's exactly why they're attacking the Hotep term, because they don't. You got to remember, the Hoteps are the right-wing arm of the black community. So, of course, they're going to slander the term Hotep because Hoteps are conservative. They're right-wing. So they want to destroy right-wing in all forms. And if they know black people use, of the right wing use the term Hotep, they have to eliminate it in all cultures. So they'll use those terms. All right, let's go back to the super chats. Phone lines is back open, 202-596-5631. Rudy, if you want to get in here, get in here. P-Dub said, I got it. Woke heads will figuratively explode in horror if they find out about this movie called Roots. Damn, I can't even say that I've watched more than one episode of Roots. Yeah, I can't say I have. So I wouldn't be able to comment on that. I would be speaking from a place of ignorance, and I never want to do that. Here go Rudy.
Call from
Rudy the Vet.
Rudy the Vet, you on the line? What up, bro?
Hey, man, you got him on fire on Friday. He's on fire. Hey, look, man, to the caller that called earlier, this ain't about arguing, man. It's about learning, man. You have your points. We ain't here to beef, man. We're here to understand and learn, man. That dude was argumentative, man.
Yeah.
He would say something to you, and then when you start talking, like, I don't even think dude was listening to a word you said. I think he was just getting ready to get his next line in the clip. You know what I'm saying? To fire off the next shot.
Yeah, the big brain.
Right.
Yeah.
And for this high value man thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's funny to me, right? You got Fresh and Fit. You got these people, man, with their podcast about the high value man trying to prove to women. What high value man needs the validation of a woman, man? You know what I'm saying? If you're supposed to be the high value man and you're in the manosphere, but high value to me is how I value myself and how I'm valued in the eyes of God, man. Material. Hey, Nas said it best. Steph seen it. Jabari said, what you base your happiness around material women and large paper, it means you're inferior, not major, man. I know, dude. I got friends with a lot of cash who I could call right now if I was in a bind and they wouldn't show up. And I got friends who are broke Dick Willie who I could call right now and they'd be here ready to rock on the drop of a dime.
Mm-hmm.
Money, muscles. It's about you, yourself, and God, man. That's how you value yourself in life, man.
When you first spoke about, man doesn't need a woman's validation, I immediately had an argument. But then when you said what you said, I'm like, I don't even want to argue that because I want to talk about what you said. You basically said the only person that's going to validate me is me and God. And I think that's a powerful way to live your life as a man, because if you don't have that mindset as a man and you're dependent on a woman to validate you, you're going to be really unhappy. So that's powerful words right there.
Exactly, brother. Exactly, man. The only one who can make me happy and validate whether my value or not is me and God, man. That's it. I don't need a woman. I don't need Fresh and Fit or them dudes on that whatever app. I don't need pearly things. I don't need the internet. I don't need Twitter. Yeah. And I love my fiance and I love my kid, but I don't need them either. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I provide for them. You know what I'm saying? But if I don't need them. I don't need them to validate my value in this world, man.
And that's what's going to make a strong man.
And the Almighty, man. That's all I need, man. My actions in the Almighty, man.
Bars.
And for him to sit there. For him to sit here and say that the chat, I disagree with you. I mean, we think alike.
Yeah.
But I disagree on old Donnie J. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you called in yesterday and disagreed with me. Yeah.
Donnie J speaks like a 4-year-old, dude.
Yeah.
He does to me.
And also,
he's got big cojones. I'm not saying he ain't a strong dude, but that dude cannot articulate a message, man.
And also, like, how many times have I lost in Hotep court?
You've lost quite a few, man.
I lost more than Uncle Hotep, right? So you can't just say it's the channel. The chat is gonna take my side. Nah, they calling this shit straight down the middle.
Listen, I drive 10-hour, 11-hour shifts in the truck, man. I listen to podcasts. I'm not a big reader, man. I'm an auditory. Like, I listen to books. I listen. That's like my kids, man. When I'm sitting sometimes and like we're riding down the road and radio comes on and I'm spitting out song after song after song, they're like, "How the hell do you remember all that?" And that's just how I take in information through listening.
Okay,
dude. There's not, and I'm not just saying there's not a more even keeled podcast than this, man. There's not. There's just not. There's not, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
There's not a more even keeled podcast than this, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, dude had some points. You know what I'm saying? But don't call in to argue, man. Call in to educate, man. Call in to learn, dude.
Yeah, or just converse. I love pushback. Being a former debater and a former arguer, I love pushback, right? But
right,
if we're gonna argue, like, let's do it intelligently. Let's not have debate brain,
And I've learned more in this world than watching and listening, observing, and that's just the streets. You know what I'm saying? Watching, observing, listening. I learn more like that than I do talking, man.
Yeah.
Than I do talking.
Absolutely. 2 ears, 1 mouth.
For a reason, brother. Sorry to double dip, man, but you got him on fire today, man. You got him on fire, man.
Nah, I appreciate the double dipping today. Pause.
Pause. Hotep and Bill, brother.
Hotep and Bill, man. Oh man, Rudy on the check-in, double dipping. Pause. Mo Facts. Yeah, I want to get him back on, man. We're gonna get Mo in here. We'll get him in here. Shout out to my rumblers rumbling. Hit the like button. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. This is the Griff Report. We're here every Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. I won't be here Thursday and Friday next week. I'm gonna shoot my members some exclusive behind the scenes content. If you're a member, not a subscriber, but a member, while I'm in Miami next week, I'll be on the desk at Bitcoin. At the Bitcoin conference, I'll be on the news desk. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I'll be down there networking and trying to get some sponsors for Hotep Con, et cetera, and for myself. If you guys know anybody that wants to sponsor Hotep Con or sponsor the Grifties, let me know and put something together. That would be absolutely amazing. Let me close the phone lines out. Phone lines. Did I miss anyone? All right, we got everybody. Phone lines are closed. I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Okay, I covered all the super chats. I thought I didn't read that one from P-Dub's Designs, but we got him. Hotep Con tickets on sale right now. And don't forget, your Master Focus 30% discount is in the description box below. Go hit that. Go get you some Master Focus. It'll clear your mind, clear out the brain fog, boost your memory, clarity, focus, concentration, energy, mood. Really, really, really great product. Not only am I the president and CEO, I'm also a client. I'm Hotep Jesus, and y'all be safe and have a great weekend. And happy Mother's Day to the mothers. Enjoy. Be good to your mothers, too.
Didn't listen to me then. I bet they feel me now. Don't let me lose it. The booth not about to prove it. I set goals and pursue it. You the best to never do it. Invest my money talking fluent, stupid, ducking the Judas. It broke my heart, but open my eyes. You have no honor, I have no choice. Chasing the commas till I'm gone. I've been left for a minute. On my way home, mama, I promise, got caught up in it. Damn, everybody eats when I'm batting at the plate. First, second, third, home, $1 million